From Shut Up Nick Productions, coming to you live from the warm, sunny South, it's Double Date. Here's your host and the star of the show, Charles Chatterton.
Thank you and welcome to Double Date. It's time to meet our two lovely couples for game number one. Up first, we have Kim and Nick. Kim is a special education parapro whose interests include cold brew coffee, live music, and burning down capitalism. Nick is a graphic artist who spends all his free time making music. He enjoys history, Super Sentai, and cooking for friends. Our second couple is Maisy and Jake. Maisy's a linguist and cheese connoisseur who enjoys reading, horror movies, and cooking up fine meals. Jake is an analyst and possible changeling who enjoys spending his time learning about history, drinking, and tormenting all of existence. Let's get to him. Anyways, Kim, what's made you feel something in the last month?
A lot of my time and energy has been with my job. Even though I'm like 5-6 months in, it's still pretty new since it's a very new career path.
Yeah.
So I think I've felt a lot of pride lately because I feel like I've really been excelling and I feel really productive and like the work is really meaningful, which is really cool. I don't feel like I've felt that in a really long time. Just doing I was still doing childcare to an extent in the past, but it wasn't like this. So it wasn't the same kind of pride. I still felt good every day. But now I feel like I'm really making a difference. So really proud.
That's awesome.
I'd personally say you have the hardest job out of all of us. I could not imagine taking care of kids all day. I would.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
strangle
Thank you.
Maisie, what's made you feel something in the last month?
Oh, me next. Okay. Last night, we finished watching this Nazi documentary that Jake's been showing me, and I was certainly experiencing a lot of feelings during that. And I was like, wow, this is too relatable to right now. I think I'm going to have a panic attack.
Ooh, yeah, that makes it a lot heavier, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, Nick, what's something that's made you feel something in the last month besides building a fence?
Oh man, feelings.
Two people
You
have went
have
before
feelings?
you. Two people have
Yeah,
went
no, I know.
This is
Time.
coming at you.
Yeah, time.
Vamping over
Yeah,
here
but
for you.
what am I gonna do? Pre-think my answer? Then that's not genuine. I think my confusion speaks for itself.
I can't wait.
Feeling something. I mean, no, I don't know. Honestly, that confusion might be the easiest way. I have a lot of things in my life that I enjoy, but they've been hitting snags that make it feel more like work, and then that makes it difficult to enjoy them. But then when I'm not doing them, I miss them. Like the band's still trying to finish the record. We've got like 2 more recording sessions to get it done, but it's now like 3 months past due. We haven't, again, we've been working so hard to get stuff together, get ready to start a bunch of house projects once the weather gets better. But then random shit happens that adds more things to the list, and now I'm worried it's going to take away from the ones we've been planning for. Just different stuff like that. So it's, I guess, confusion works. Really, is because that's probably the biggest emotion I've had in my life as to date is confusion.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. How about you, Jake? What have you been feeling in the last month? What's something that made you feel something?
Well, I do have my answer pre-planned. I listened to a really good album in the past month. Jill Scott's latest album, To Whom It May Concern. I was talking to Maze about it even earlier. I've gone back and listened to it, basing all the songs at least 2.5 times now. It's phenomenal. There's only one song that falls a little flat for me, and I just got like all the vibes, got goosebumps throughout the album and everything. It's been really good the last couple months. I've been eating good on albums from like that one, Baby Keem's, Casino, and oh yeah, of course, J. Cole's The Fall Off, 2-6. Anyways, that's all I'm going to get into that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it and everything.
Nick and Kim, do you remember how you guys first became friends and then like how you got together as a couple?
Oh, yeah, of course I remember. I knew of Nick before Nick knew of me. He found my friend Erica when he first moved here to play music together. Erica and I have been friends since we were kids. And she had told me she had new bandmates. And I said, oh, who are they? Or show them to me or something. And she showed me pictures. Oh, we should hang out with your band. Then she invited Nick out. And Nick was desperate for friends.
Still is.
And I answered very quickly and hooked him. That was about it. It wasn't really a plan. It was more,
Hooked
this
him?
is a cool guy. Yeah.
Like, wait. Did you walk up to him first and talk first then, or did he talk to you first?
No, she literally threw a hook right in my face.
Oh, yeah, fuck this guy.
I told Erica to like invite her bandmates out, and she invited him over to our friend's house where we all would congregate all the time. So he hung out with the group of us for a night, and then probably after added us all on Facebook or something, right?
Yeah. I mean, you made a stellar impression that night, though.
Was she drunk? What's going on?
I was drinking
from a full bottle of Jack by herself.
I don't do that.
Classy lady.
She's not that kind of lady anymore.
No, I don't do
But yeah, no, it was just I was just impressed because
it was a Cinco de Mayo party. It was a Cinco de Mayo gathering.
So it's okay to get shitty then. It's a Cinco de, it's where you want to get drunk.
I mean, it's just that I'm a bull guy and you're.
Well, I mean, I was definitely when it was like a random hangout and I was drinking a whole bottle.
Like I'm a big guy, and I look at you and I'm like, she's so small and she's drinking from that whole bottle. How is she doing that?
Yeah, so that burned a little bit in your brain, I think.
I know you better now, and I'd still be surprised.
But yeah, so he added everyone on Facebook to make more friends.
Yeah.
And again, I respond very quickly. So then we talked for a while. I think just planned to hang out, right?
I joke all the time that I was like, if Dylan had been free then that weekend, maybe I'd be dating him.
If somebody else, yeah. So we made plans, hung out once or twice, and then I hung out at your apartment, and then we went out to the movies. And we went to the movies. I think when we planned it, it wasn't a date, and then probably in texting each other said something about it being a date. We were like, it can be a date.
It's fine.
And then it was a date.
Oh my God, you guys are adorable. That is adorable.
Yeah.
We got him. He just wanted friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're new to New York. If you're here too long and I don't do this, you're gone. It's done.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
I love that. I've heard that story before, but I love hearing it. So sweet.
That's cute.
Believe it or not, she's gotten away a few times. I just find her.
Yeah.
Nick makes a lot of jokes about stalking down victims. I just want to point that out. Every episode.
Just her.
It's just me, yeah.
She's no victim.
Don't yuck my yum.
She earned it.
You know what? I'm sorry. I didn't know you was into this.
She just like
hiding from him.
to cover herself in mud like in Predator.
Yeah. I really like to
Still play hide and go
every
seek.
time.
Yeah. I mean, it's hell on our drains when I hose her down later, but she loves the mud part.
It's all part of the bit.
It's just like, hey, are you in the mood? Not really. How about if I count to 10 and you hide?
I'm like, yep.
Yeah, hell yeah, let's do it. That's a little
so long to find me.
Yeah, she gets a good nap in.
Yeah.
She sleeps. I would say that's a little different. Me and Maze have been friends for over 10 years now.
Yeah, definitely since college.
It's been a while, yeah. Yeah, that's where we initially met. I think we spoke about it in another interview. But our mutual friend Crystal, her best friend, or like one of her best friends, we shared a class together, and through Crystal, who was very upfront, no, thank you, but I have this friend who you might enjoy, and then we met and we hung out a few times. We didn't really hit it off that hard. I mean, we enjoyed each other's company clearly. And then later on, and I think when we reconnected, though, you had just finished up your divorce. And that whole time, though, we always talked about books and like movies and stuff. You were always another one of the people going, Jake, maybe you should read fiction. It's not all Nazis and Civil War stuff. So I started. We were actually talking about how we connected. We started talking about like just the most messed up books we'd been reading, and she's like, "Hey,
yes.
if you like some really horrible stuff, here's something about just the most heinous things you can think of."
I love that. That is true. Friendship and then relationship is being into whatever you're into and the nitty gritty of it and putting it right out there. Like, that's what we need to talk about. That's the most interesting. We don't want to small talk about the fucking weather.
I mean, you can talk about the weather. I mean, I wish I knew some clouds right now. Yeah, there was a book she suggested I started reading, and it was one of the few books that I put down just because I could not. It was too much of a Nick for me. It was Tampa. I cannot remember the author right now. And let me tell you something. It is not a fun read. It is just disgusting from beginning to end.
Yeah.
You can Google. I don't want to put that on the episode.
Yeah.
You suggested it to him, and he was testing you.
Yes.
I was honest. I
I
was like,
think
no,
she's
thank you.
getting back at you for all the Nazi stuff you put her through.
Yeah. Well, he suggested the rape of Non-King. So that's what he told me I should read.
Oh, okay. You went a little further east for that one. I'm proud of you. You're expanding, broadening your horizon.
Just, leading up to the Great War and all that jazz. Yeah, horrible. It's a fascinating read. I still love it. It's one of those books that really shows you the depravity of mankind, and and some good things. There are some hope in there from the people who go out of the way. You know what? I'm not gonna get into a book review right now of it. Iris Chang, I believe is the
Yeah.
author. It's phenomenal.
But anyway, Jake and I connected over books and being fellow people who are into fucked up shit. And then I slid into his DMs after I got divorced.
Hell yeah.
Nice.
And I'm fascinating. I don't know. I'm not good at talking about myself right now. So, what fears or anxieties did you have about the relationship when you first got together, Kim?
I don't know if there were a lot of really fears of anything, because thankfully it was like an ignorance is bliss. I had not had any real relationships. I had kind of seen maybe 2 other people prior because of how young I was. So I didn't really have any relationship experience to go off of. So I guess it was just the general fear of he doesn't actually like me. But even that, I feel like I was so, again, ignorance is bliss, that it was, if he's hanging out with me, he must like me. What fear is there if he doesn't want to hang out? He doesn't have to answer.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a blind confidence, which is great because it was probably one of the few things I had such blind confidence, if any confidence in, was yeah, we're already hanging out. We're cool. And because of how we are best friends, it was just, we meshed so well. Natural. There was no nervous. There was a little bit of the flirty nervousness of things. I joke, I still remember the first time going to his apartment. I remember the directions, turning the last turn down his street, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to hang out at his place. We're actually, I think, into each other like that.
Yeah.
And other than that, there was no
in a dark
what if it
basement
doesn't-
alone with a stranger.
That's why we get an apartment like everybody else.
Well, I am curious, Nick, did you feel that same way, or did you have any kind of anxieties different? She's clearly confident.
Well, like she said, I'm the ignorance and she's the bliss. That's,
I think yours was probably the ignorance of you weren't looking for a relationship anyway.
Oh no, I'm just saying I'm ignorant. And
Yes,
you're
yes,
bliss.
that too. But I feel we've always, especially from early on, both said.
I think I can answer my own question.
To be very black and white about it, I think you've said the same thing. I wouldn't be here if you didn't bring something to my life.
I don't think I had any. I wouldn't call them fears. I think anxieties, though, the biggest one was right off the bat. It was so quick that it went from friends to actually realizing we liked each other. But I also had only been here for so long that you were inevitably part of my friend group, and my friend group was part of it. And, not all relationships stick. Some of them aren't meant to. In the early days, it was more the fear of, I enjoyed hanging out with you anyway, as well as I've enjoyed all these other friends that I've made through and alongside you, which I understand most of them came through Erica, but you were also friends of hers from childhood. If this fell, that's how much you should have known I liked you, is that from the first time I decided to ask you out, I knew that if it fell apart, I could be losing any of the friends group I made. My bands could fall apart. There's other things, but those anxieties are pushed aside when for some reason I like you.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, I saw them figuring it out.
Bravery. It was bravery, Nick. I am Nick. I actually am curious, and I know you've probably told me. You've told me this issue before. I don't remember you ever having any relationship really prior to Kim. No serious relationship, anyways.
Nothing serious or long. My thing was always dating around or dating. There were a couple girls I maybe was with for a year, but you're in school. It's not like you're living with them. It's not like, you can see them all the time. So even a length of a year was really we did more together in a couple months than you would have done with somebody like that.
Yeah.
Now, as far as people have taken on dates, I don't know. But there was, you also knew how I was in the sense that I would ask a girl out just to take her to a movie, and that would be it. I'd literally take her out to the movie, maybe go get a coffee or something with her, take her back to her house, drop her off. That was, sometimes I would literally take someone out for a date, that, not trying to date them.
Yeah, Nick was the first guy in our group to figure out you could just be friends with a woman. Hey, you want to hang out? A date? No, just be cool.
Terrified of having any kind of relations in high school. There's no way I wanted to be like stuck with it. Because here's the thing, feel like I'm dumb enough that if I had tried anything in high school, I would end up with a kid.
I do agree. You are dumb.
No thanks. No thanks.
You are dumb. Yeah.
I am dumb. I am. Like 100% know that, and I knew I wanted to do shit and get out there. And then honestly, also happy I had that mindset because as I grew older, I realized kids aren't for me anyway. So thank God I stayed away from things that could have made it happen before it would have made sense.
Also, then you deciding and wanting to leave and come to New York, obviously, if you had any longer.
Yeah, I still don't know how you got that idea stuck in my head from 1,000 miles away before I knew you, but you figured that out. That was weird. It went out of my brain.
She cast a spell.
I'll add this, I'm actually glad you held it together, Nick, and got out of because there's been so many times when before I got out of everything, you were one of those people. I'm like, well, shit, if Nick's gone, why can't I leave as well and make my own life?
The way you said, I'm like, did you live and work in another country? What are you talking about? Glad I got out. You got out.
Well, you left well before I did, years before I left and everything. And I think it's always helpful to have one of those friends like yourself, you're a very ambitious guy, in my opinion. So you moving, creating this whole life, I know you had family in New York and everything, but it's very different where you spent the majority of your life in, South Georgia where we were, and to then move away to New York or move back to New York or whatnot. It's, it's good to have a friend like that. It kind of helps you get motivated as well. At least for me, it does.
You're welcome. That was all I was thinking about when I did that was, will this motivate Jake?
God, just the best friend there could be, Nick.
Well, it makes sense because you've also said it was so common. You had so many people there that had no interest in leaving. So that was more of the norm.
Yeah, exactly, Kim. Yeah. You know how many didn't leave?
Pretty much everybody. Yes.
You know how many didn't leave? Most of them. They moved to a town over. No hate. I'm not hating on those people.
Whatever works for people. Yeah. I mean, here's the craziest thing. I miss the South a lot. It's not like I don't miss it. I grew up there. It's surprising what I know. It's just I don't miss it enough to want to live there.
Yeah.
See, it's kind of different for me. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I wish I came back more often, but it just doesn't line up that way.
I had this kind of almost, I don't want to say, it was, I guess I would say hatred for the South and the culture and just what I grew up in. But as I've grown, it's become more of a romantic kind of feeling I have towards the South and everything, just as I learn more. And, because I enjoy coming back now and I enjoy living here, of course. But I'm not above moving away again. It's just something that's grown that I've taken more of an appreciation for. I mean, there's still a lot of horrible things I hate about it, but one step at a time, I guess.
It's easier to romanticize it when you're not there, and when you are then well traveled, that you've gone over place. You're like, that I know this. I agree with the shitty parts I thought were shitty, but you can romanticize the somewhat parts.
Yeah. Well, the trick is to just ignore the Confederate flags everywhere. That's the trick. You just have to ignore those in every corner.
Yeah, exactly.
You mean the most romantic part?
Cars and bars. I would say one of the anxieties, kind of the main anxiety I had when I first met Maze is when we started chatting again, she was again just out of a divorce. And I was worried that there was this feeling of rushing into it. And I think I actually I was very open about it with her, and I told her about it. I'm like, I'm worried that you're going from one serious relationship into a new one. How's that going to affect you? But of course, I was wrong. We actually spoke about it, and she let me know she'd already, kind of been over that past relationship, and she was looking to move into a healthier one. I don't know why she chose me, but she spoke of getting into a healthier relationship.
Yeah.
There's a certain lovely feeling about being with a woman who realizes that she hates men, because it helps you know that she's really choosing you for your personality.
That's very true.
Well,
yeah,
I am better than her ex-wife. I will state that right here on air, so they can hear it if they ever listen. I would ask Maze if she had any anxieties, but there's no anxiety dating someone as awesome as me. I think we can just move on to the next question, unless you want to add to that, Maze.
My anxieties going into our relationship was definitely about whether or not you were going to get sick of me being around in your personal space, because I know that is something that's very important to you, is being able to have your space, your alone time. So just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to be infringing on your freedoms, or make you feel really, I don't know, burnt out all the time just by having somebody in your personal space.
You know what? That is a good anxiety to have. I am someone who, I mean, you've heard me preach the awesomeness of solitude. I enjoy being alone. I would say it was, there's a learning curve to that, but I don't know. Me and you vibe real well, and you do give me my space. Like you'll even be like, "Hey, why don't you just go on a trip by yourself? Go on a hike, do whatever you need to kind of get, just your alone time and recharge from just everything." So I've never struggled with that. We're very talkative when it comes to that. I always let you know, like, "Hey, I just need a break. I just need some like quiet time because I'll go nonverbal for a day or so usually."
Yeah. And that's fine too, because I can just read my book and vibe while he's, doing his thing. So,
which I love. I think everybody should have that.
yeah.
We joke all the time. A couple things that we truly feel we just happened to figure out as we built our relationship is not sharing a blanket in bed. And we have separate spaces in the house to do our own thing and close the door if we want
Yes,
to.
we actually
And just be
we have separate blankets.
Share a blanket, you can fuck that right
We
off.
do have separate blankets. Yeah.
Like roll the other way. It's insane.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
God, yes. I'm always
See, when I also don't use a blanket like a normal person. I don't put it over me. I bunch it up in front of me and hold on to it for dear life.
Sometimes
That's how
you
Jake
use
sleeps
it.
too. Yeah.
I woke up so cold the other
He
night.
wants
She's
to
like,
snuggle with his blanket.
"Why don't you put the cover on you?" No, then I won't be able to cuddle with this blanket. I'd rather be cold.
I have to hold it.
Uh,
But yeah, and then like I said, having our own space, like we're very fortunate where we rented before and then where we bought, we have enough space that we're able to literally have our own rooms and then also have our bedroom. So we can just have our own spaces.
Yeah, I'm always almost like just befuddled by like, and I don't want to hate on everyone's got their own relationship style, but when I do know some couples who are always like, "No, we are like one being," and
Yeah.
and I just do not get that. I'm like, you don't ever just want to like slap the other part of your being. Then I mean, I never want to hit anyone. I'm not a violent partner.
I mean, she often tells me she wants to live inside my skin, so there is that. But
looks like both. Like I want to sew myself to you.
They just made a movie about why that's a bad idea.
In like a mutant way, but then also I do want to punch you directly in the face often. It's false.
Yeah.
But I still want to be attached to you while I do it,
All right, that's fine. Before we actually get too far off it, I do have a question. Like, Jake, I know you value your personal space so much. It's not really a hard thing to find out about you. But one thing I've never actually asked or figure out, when in your head does something click enough that you go like, yes, I value this space. Yes, I value this friendship with this person. But where does it click that you're like, I'm okay opening myself up further to a relationship? Like when do you realize you're willing to open more of your life up to that person than you are to even like just your platonic friends?
There's never like one kind of. It's usually a buildup of things. Like you and Kim, you guys can pretty much do anything you want in my space. Our other host Jordan, even though he can be a real pain, there's this buildup of like trust and like respect, and like sometimes it comes really quick. Sometimes it takes a while for me to be like, oh, I can just be like my cozy, because I can be cozy and goofy around all three of you. Whereas like the average person, I'm very much more of like, I'm very prickly and standoffish for the most part. So it's a build up. There are like I would say the moment when I really started feeling kind of cozier, like where I felt really comfortable with Maze is where like, because I have a bad habit when I don't watch a lot of movies with people because I like pausing movies and like joking or thinking about something going on in it. So I'm a horrible person to watch something with. And I can't remember what it was, but we were watching the 3-part documentary on the West Memphis 3.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Remember that, Mace?
Yeah.
Oh, that one's a good one. That's hilarious.
Sounds like a relationship test. You can't watch things because you pause it and you watch the 3-part something.
And by the way, I want to point out the people who made the music for that 3-part documentary was Metallica.
Yes.
So I am just having so much fun. And you know how creative you got to be funny or riff about dead kids? And I did it. I won her over. But like,
anything's funny when they're like, and then the kids were found murdered. Yeah. Like Metallica is not the band who should be scoring.
That is almost the vibe of the documentary. Yeah.
Yes. Well, speaking of the greatest albums of all time, tell me your earliest memory of making friends, Nick.
Earliest memory of making friends. 4 years old. Pre-K. At the time, I used to be very big into country music because it was all my dad listened to anyway, so it's all we had around the house. The first CD, it wasn't my first CD I ever bought myself or the first CD I ever asked for, but the first CD that I remember being like, this is mine, even though it was probably my dad's, was Brooks and Dunn. I don't remember which particular record, but it was a Brooks and Dunn record. But I used to wear like button-up Western style shirts every day, and I would wear cowboy boots.
It's adorable.
Just a teeny tiny little cowboy.
And I remember some kid in class just being like, "Are you a cowboy?" And we were friends. That was it. That's all it took. Because you're 4, you don't have anything else going on in your life.
You're still that easy.
I'm so slutty for a shared interest.
You said that was in pre.
Do you remember who that was? Do you remember that person's name?
Oh, I don't remember the name or anything. I remember very few things about that. I remember being in an assembly in pre-K, and whoever came to talk to us was like, he was trying to get people to like come up to do something. He's pulling kids out of the crowd, and he goes, "And you, Garth Brooks over there." And it was before I knew about the Chris Gaines thing or that he was a serial killer. So I was like, "Oh, he thinks I'm Garth Brooks," and I ran up there very excited. That was great. No, it was just the cowboy boots and whatever, the Western shirt. Of course that's enough.
Small husky child in cowboy boots.
We were in Rome, New York. They were like, "What does this guy think he's doing?"
I forgot about that fact. Also,
yeah, we were practically Canadian. It's like, does this guy think this is Texas? What's happening right now?
Yeah. I just recently asked Nick what he thought, like how he thought he'd turn out if he stayed there and was in
upstate New York,
because he would have been
so racist.
It's like
oh my god!
Can you still say redneck? It's a different kind of
upstate New York. No, it's
trash?
just hick. It's just so different. Yeah. Oh my god!
Because it's like too far north.
Oh yeah, it's you guys would go there and be like, "There's fucking nothing here."
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, I'm gonna go back to the big city after this. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, there are definitely very specific parts of the country where you will see Confederate flags regardless of whether or not they were a part of the Confederacy.
I would have either been like very, very like, again, upstate hick is so different than anything that you've experienced growing up down south. It makes anyone who wants to go like, "I'm a hick," normal. Like upstate hick is crazy.
I think it's just trashier in like a different way.
Because they don't want to believe that they're that trashy too, but they are.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. So I would have ended up like that, or I would have ended up like probably a burnout, because there's just nothing to do. It's inevitable. It's the big reason bars succeed so well, and like the alcohol numbers were crazy during COVID around those areas. There's nothing to do. People just want to drink.
Oh yeah.
I say that as I drink. What about you, Kim? What's your like? Do you have an early memory of making friends? Or
I'm really bad with my memory, all in all, specifically my childhood.
That's okay. Me too.
From memories paired with stories and like photos I've seen, I know my nursery school. I remember a couple of the friends that I had there because it was right down the block from my house, and we were like family friends with the woman who owned it. It was in her own house. And one of the kids that went to it, I like went all through school with. We graduated high school together. We weren't very close, but I remember just being friends with him when we were that young. And then after that, I remember my like kindergarten, first grade kind of group of friends I made between school and a couple of them being in Girl Scouts with me.
Okay.
So little things like that, but nothing too like specific. Especially my memories of my Girl Scout troop are definitely more vivid because it was also one of the group leaders was I would call her my aunt, but I guess she's technically it's my mom's cousin. It's my second cousin.
No.
Is that how that works? I think.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have two, I just know they're not my first cousins. I believe they're second cousins. I have two second cousins that we were born within a couple months of each other. One of them only a couple weeks. So we went all through school together.
Yeah.
One of them, her mom was our Girl Scout leader. So it was like family and that. So I was very close with her. And then we had our Girl Scout troop, who was my like kindergarten group of friends that I had.
Oh, well, that kind of like makes me want to follow up with both of you. Did either of you ever like, not just your earliest ones? Did you ever struggle making friends, or does it come easly to you?
It's weird. I don't know about struggling making friends. I think at an early age, being the military brat, like I don't know if it's called pre-K when you're 3 years old or something like that. Like I know it's pre-K 4 years
Nursery,
old,
probably.
something like that. But like I remember, like I went to a different school at 3, then I did it 4. And then we moved to Georgia and I went to a different school at 5. Then I did it 6 when we ended up at Lanier. So very early on, I was just used to the fact that like you don't keep friends because you don't stay in the same place. So I took what I could get. And I just happened to get lucky in those early years before I started realizing like, oh, you can like choose and make friends. Like one of the first couple friends I had I'm very fortunate that they were wonderful people. A couple of them I've lost contact with. And if I got a chance to, touch base with them again, I would certainly try.
Hey, that's a good thing. We're doing a podcast about that, Nick.
But that very much was a friendship of convenience in the sense that you're 6 years old and you're used to losing every friend every year because you move. And, we're talking 1995, 1996. So it's like, kids didn't have, emails or access to them, or social media wasn't a thing. So it was just like, unless the parents were also like actually cared enough to be friends to exchange those landline numbers, those people just don't exist in your life anymore. And that's okay. That's how that works. But that
you grow apart
a lot. That like the first few friends I made when I got to, which is the school I ended up staying at, as you know, but our listeners might not. I don't know. I'm saying things weird. It's odd. But
Nick, relax, God.
They were friendships of convenience, but they ended up becoming actual friends.
Yeah.
Like when we graduated high school, 2 of the 3 that I met when I first ended up at graduated with us, and we kept in a little bit of contact till college pulled us all in our separate ways.
I know those 3 people and they're horrible. That's just my commentary. No, I don't even know what he's talking about.
You might not.
I might not.
You might not know one of the 3.
That's sad because there's only like 80 people in our class that graduated.
Yeah.
You probably didn't know him, Jake.
It fits on a coffee mug. That's crazy.
Yeah, we could all fit them on a coffee mug. Yeah, I still have mine somewhere.
I have mine as well. Yeah,
we're so cool.
Mostly because it holds my coffee, not for any other reason.
Mine's probably in storage somewhere.
I do remember, like right after, maybe like the first or second time I came to Jake's apartment, I was like, "Who's this man on your socks?" And he's like, "Oh, that's my friend Nick."
Yeah. You're always with me, Nick. You're always with me, buddy. I wear those at the gym sometimes during the winter.
I love that. I hope Erica wears hers too.
Sorry, my answer was long-winded, but you didn't have a chance to answer that question. Like that's Nick. My bad.
Just doesn't know when to shut up.
Typical. As a kid, a really little kid, I don't think I struggled because I feel like it takes a while to form those anxieties as a child. It's just natural that, every kid is your friend already. Also very fortunate because of Girl Scouts and playing soccer. I think by like first grade, I had those outlets. Funny enough, one of my friends was in both of those with me, and she was in my kindergarten class, and we stayed friends through high school. We've lost contact beyond like Facebook stuff now, but she was one of my closest friends. I definitely started to struggle towards the end of elementary school into middle school. I would love to burn any memory I have of middle school out of my brain forever. Mood. If a doctor could do that for me, but I feel like a lot of people.
Have you tried weed?
That's why it's that's why it's in the middle. But that had to do a lot with my own anxieties forming a lot then in like middle school, and a lot of it based around bullies and the way I look. I had a very short haircut, a pixie cut in elementary school that I then grew to hate, so I grew it out. So
I want to see a picture of that. I want a picture of that.
I would have to find some. Very much like
find me one.
Really short pixie cut. Then it was like bowl cut mullet because I was trying to grow it out, and I was just refusing haircuts because I didn't know, trim it proper ways to have it grow out.
Mm-hmm.
I would have bullied you. I would have bullied you for sure.
And I was
that tracks because you wouldn't listen to anybody.
Kind of ugly in that stage of life, like very admittedly, and that affected my self-esteem a lot.
Thank God you grew out of it.
So I definitely struggle. I had like my core group of friends, thankfully.
Yeah.
A very small group of friends, but had them all through, probably formed a lot of them in middle school. Erica, who introduced us and that we're still very close with, we went to elementary school together. Knew of each other. We probably did things in passing, but not too much. Middle school into high school is when we like really, really were hanging out weekly, if not daily, and seeing each other. So I had her. I had my core group of friends, and I had people like Erica, who I was friends with her, and then I knew and sometimes hung out with like a handful of her friends.
Yeah.
But it wasn't always like they were my friends, and I don't feel like I was the one that made or kept those relationships or friendships up, kind of thing. So I think I struggled then. And then into adulthood, I probably struggle. I think I struggle more with the motivation and the confidence to try to make the friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rather than, because I feel like when I do try or I do have the confidence to, it's very easy. It comes very easily.
Oh, so you don't like have any like of the similar anxieties now trying to make friends, though. It's just like,
Not as much. Like I definitely still it burned, confidence and self-esteem issues into me, to deal with in therapy for life kind of deal.
yeah,
But it doesn't directly affect, talking to anyone or how I think people view me. I do so much less assuming anyone's even thinking about me, let alone having a judgment about me,
Yeah.
into adulthood. That's, I think that's just, being in your 30s at that point, you realize nobody's fucking thinking about you.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter anymore. So that's helped. But I think now it's just more of probably the motivation to make friends and do anything.
Yeah.
Just me very okay doing nothing all the time.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned your atrocious haircut and like being bullied and everything. Were there any other anxiety basically are there some other anxieties you were dealing with at that time as well? I mean, if it's too personal, you don't have to answer that though.
No, it was a lot of that because of that and a lot of at the time, obviously, and a lot of things that were probably mental health struggles that I was dealing with. It was just pouring over into everything else. So it affected my home life a lot, which already I don't want to say was bad. We're definitely felt very privileged and we grew up very nicely, and I had both of my parents and I had my siblings and we had a nice house and did a lot of things. I was in Girl Scouts. My parents did put me in soccer, things like that. But obviously we're all adults now. We know that's not everything.
Yeah.
Right,
Nice is one thing, happy's another.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So it definitely poured over into a lot of my home life and my relationship with my parents, a little bit with my siblings. But I think that was just how close we all are. I'm in the middle. My sister's 5 years older than me and my brother's 4 years younger.
Yeah.
So we were just close enough, but further enough in age that we went through a roller coaster of fighting and not. But it definitely really affected my relationship with my parents because of what I was struggling with and what they helped with or not, and what I told them versus didn't tell them, whether it was purposeful or not. It definitely affected a lot of that.
Yeah.
And formed what relationship or lack thereof we have now. It for sure was a lot of those anxieties and those mental health struggles I was dealing with. Again, probably around like middle school.
Okay. I have to do this. Maisie, what about you? What about your
So
making friends? Was it easy? Earliest memory? What you got?
yeah, so I was also an Air Force brat. So we moved a couple times. Thankfully, after the third move, my mom was like, "You can do that shit on your own. We're gonna stay here." So my dad did like the geographic bachelor thing while we just kind of stayed where we were, which was better for me making friends. Um, I think my earliest memory of making friends, I had like a bestie when we lived in Florida, and that was like when I was like 4, 5 years old. And I think we met through like swim practice or something like that. But like he and I were like attached to the hip all the time. We would like do sleepovers and watch Power Rangers and do, kid shit together. And so that was really fun. I think that's probably my earliest memory. Um, I don't really remember like making friends being difficult. Um, I think I just kind of naturally gravitated towards certain people. And like as an adult, probably other people who are neurodivergent, like, but
I feel that one.
yeah. I definitely made friends when we moved to Georgia. Gravitated towards like some friends. I had like my little core group of friends that kind of changed and adapted as we went into middle school. And once we got into middle school, it was basically like all the goths, and that was our friend group. But I met two of my best friends. Crystal I met when I was in like 3rd grade, 4th grade, and then Riley I met in 6th grade, I think, 7th grade maybe. So and they've both been. I mean, we're still friends now, so we've been friends since then. How about you, Jake? Your turn now.
Yeah. It's always been easy for me, honestly.
Yeah,
No,
of course.
I didn't really like when I was really young. I mainly was around my cousins. And I don't really consider that's kind of like a forced friendship in a lot of ways. Not that I think they're bad guys, I just don't know them anymore. But my first memory of like making a friend that I thought was my friend was Nick actually. When I first met Nick, we meet like just joking, hit it off really soon, and up to that point, like I was a really like when I was in my single digits, I was a really quiet kid. And then once I started getting bullied about that, I just, for some reason, my brain clicked and I just started talking and saying horrible things usually. And it's not that it's I don't know if it's easy for me to make friends because like I don't go out of my way to usually make friends. I'm often very prickly when I first meet people, even if I want to talk to someone. But for some reason that attitude has always served me well. Where just a lot of people, again, to toot my own horn, gravitate towards me a lot of times.
Yeah, people are drawn to your natural lack of fucks that you give.
I had never met anyone who strang so many nonsense words together to form an insult and still stood behind it with such conviction. Of course, I'll never remember what they are. At least you say so many things, but some of my earliest memories of you are, can you put those words together like that? And why is that me cry? But like that was great. Yeah.
That is one of the best compliments I've ever gotten. Like, you speak weirdly, but it works. Yeah, that's also probably being part of the neurodivergent community.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's friendships always kind of just come to me. Even now, like I'll go somewhere not being talkative before I know it. Someone's just like, I love this guy. We should give me your number. No, I don't want to do that. Leave me alone. And yet
Here you are.
it's kind of another reason for this whole podcast, this whole thing. Yeah. I don't want more friends.
So you think it happens even when you're not chatty?
What's that?
So I was going to say, being chatty, I feel like it could be a numbers game at that point, that if you're chatty with lots of people, the right people will continue to speak to you, you know?
It's see, because I'm chatty with like I can be chatty when I'm nervous. Like when I first meet people, I'll be anxious and I'll start chatting away and whatnot, making jokes, trying to like I usually come up with little bits in my head for those kinds of moments. But like if I'm just out in the wild on my own or whatever, and someone just begins to speak to me, I'm often very like, yeah, I don't like people. And then usually I think a lot of people are so taken by that they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, I just want to stand here, order my coffee, and not like have to speak to the world outside of ordering my large cold brew.
Yeah.
That's all I want to be bothered with right now. And then before I know it, I'm friends with that person. They're like, oh my God, you're so funny. I'm like, I'm really not trying to be comical. Please go away. It's too early. It's 1 p.m. It's too early.
I get that one
Yeah.
sometimes.
That's what's worked in my favor in a lot of different ways. You were like, I don't like people. That guy's barely people. And then we became friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all I was saying. Like you take example, and I use Kim as example. Like Kim is not someone I usually gravitate towards naturally or anything like that. But by like the second time I
Why?
hung around her, why? You say why?
Yeah, why?
Show your work.
There's it's kind of like with Maze as well. You guys are always kind to me. You guys kind of understand my almost innately, like when my batteries, my social battery's gone and everything like that. And I, for some reason, when it comes to people who kind of like know me almost instinctually, I hate to use that word. Or like just
You were
vibe with me.
nervous because we could read you like a
Yes,
book.
yes.
You said,
Yeah.
"Oh no, they see me."
Yeah,
I get it. Okay.
And
Okay.
I like to like slink around people and everything and not be like, I don't like people knowing what's going on. But there's certain
Okay.
people like you and her.
Jake doesn't like being perceived.
Jake just wants to be a cat, is what he's saying.
I like that answer. You're telling me
He
I'm
is a
too
cat.
good. Okay.
I just
Yeah.
want to slink around. I don't want anybody to acknowledge my feelings one way or the other. I would love if there was just a saucer of milk somewhere in the house for me.
Yeah.
You just want to be a cat.
I will say there is a weird difference. You take someone like I've known Nick for 20 years. I know Jordan for almost the same amount. And like it's taken them both a lot longer to really know my personality or when I'm done with it. Like they've known it for a while now, of course. But like you and Maisie just seem to, and a few other people in my life who, oddly enough, are all women, just almost just pick up on it almost immediately. And I'm like, there
That's
could be
not
something
odd
to
at
that.
all that it's mostly women.
Yeah.
That's not odd.
No, not at all.
And I don't want to speak for Kim, but for me, it's the trauma.
Yeah.
The experience, and you just see it again. You're like, oh, I know.
For me, I realized you would be a cat when you showed me your butthole, and I didn't ask to see it. I wasn't upset. I just didn't ask.
Hey, Kim, what was Nick into when they were a kid?
What? You want me to answer what Nick was into as a kid?
Yeah, what was he? Do you know anything he was into as a kid? I know he knows.
Oh, yeah. A lot of that is what we bonded over when we first started hanging out and dating. It was a lot of the same things that I was into. We both grew up with like Power Rangers. We're very into that. Me very much so because the Pink Ranger was Kimberly.
Yeah.
Plus, obviously, the rest of the show, but mostly that part is what got me. I was in.
Yeah, it was helpful. There was never going to be a slip up. I could just keep you. My childhood crush.
And that's what he was looking for, yeah. So
Yeah, he's crushed. Just live it out.
he already talks about it, but his like love of country music and wearing his cowboy boots and walking around with a little plastic guitar.
So adorable.
Adorable.
As a child, what else were you into?
As a kid?
I'm supposed to answer.
Oh, okay.
I mean, he got into music pretty young, so it was really like
Carrying the plastic guitar.
yeah, that's what I mean. So like music from a really, really young age. I think that was like your biggest interest, right? Did you do anything else? Scouting. Scouting was a big part of your life for a while.
Nerd.
Although that could have been an escape from the divorce thing, but that's besides the point.
No,
A happy home.
Because I started that before the divorce.
That's fair. Okay.
Let's try to think of things after the divorce. Maybe those were escapes.
But yeah, I think you have. I want to like be angry about it, even though I, as a child, I had healthy, very stereotypical hobbies, and like I said, Girl Scouts and soccer, and I grew up going to church with my parents, so I was in like the church youth group, and we did things or volunteer things or events.
She
So it
was
was, like,
very into the Easter.
Very
Bunny.
healthy, but I feel like that ended like middle school into high school, and then I played a little bit of soccer in high school and then stopped, didn't do anything. Your hobbies from a young age were like those very healthy, very normal things, and you continued and kept them.
Oh, I hate
Most
them all. I'm just no quitter.
But like into adulthood. Yeah, I was like really a quitter. I was on a team in middle school with one of my friends just for fun and begged my parents to buy me a tennis racket, which is very out of character for me to ask and for them to agree to. I said, I swear I'm going to stick with it. And I didn't make the team, and I said, well, what am I going to do? And I never touched that
Quitting is her favorite thing. Sometimes to give her like a little treat, I'll go book plans just knowing that she'll cancel them for us later. She loves it.
But yeah,
A little dopamine hit. You want me to tell them that we're going to cancel? You're like, yeah, I just don't feel like it.
Very different in like what our hobbies were and interests. But I feel like a lot of your interests and what you grew up with were those things that you continued. So it was like a lot of music and scouting.
I think you found
like
your creative outlet before I did, though, or at least like I don't know if you stuck with it so much, but like I think you found photography a lot sooner than I found actual music. Like I mean, yeah, I was into music. I carried on plastic guitar, but I didn't start playing an instrument until I was like 9 or 10.
Okay.
You kind of grew up. Your parents had a photography studio. Did you
but-
know then that you were into it, or?
Well, my parents sold the studio before I was born.
Oh.
Oh no, before I was in elementary school, probably I was there when I was really young, but I don't have any memories of it at all.
Oh, okay.
I just knew they were both photographers and did photography stuff, and my mom's still working for a photography company.
Yeah.
So I was into it a little bit, but I didn't really start then until middle school, probably. So probably the same age.
Okay.
But yeah, I think your stuff was mostly music and Power Rangers and cartoons,
Mostly Power Rangers.
right? Was it? Did I miss it? Did I miss anything from the question of what you were into as a kid?
No, I mean I wouldn't expect you to know a lot of the earlier stuff because we didn't know each other until I was
Yeah, like you haven't
noticeably
told-
not a kid.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we've been talking to each other and haven't shut up for 14 years. So
Yeah.
we probably hit that topic.
So it's the
I did. That was just a forget. I definitely knew that. Very much into like model trains and stuff. And his uncle that he would visit when they came to New York had a whole room that he built and set up tracks around the outskirts of the room and in the middle, and made a controller so he could hand it to Nick as a little kid.
No, it wasn't a control. It was a
Oh, sorry,
console.
a
It was
console
great. Like
that
literally
Nick could
on.
control it as a little kid.
This man went to Radio Shack and like pre-internet. No, he wasn't finding schematics. Fucking rigged an entire console up out of the floor that was my height, so I could just walk in and control every train and send whistles off and everything. He's dead, so I can't pick his brain. But I'm sure he might have been the only member of my family that was actually a genius.
Or autistic.
Yeah, probably. The way he did that, how early on. Yeah.
My three brothers all think that they're geniuses, but they're just
The train thing
Mean.
gave it away.
no. Oh yeah, no.
Jake is so delighted about learning this
No one
story,
was
by the
dying.
way. He's so excited to
Yeah,
know.
no. It's just like, oh, this guy likes to pull apart fans and put them back together. Autistic.
I-
And
I said that, though.
Yeah.
All right, so I missed the trains, but I got most of everything else.
you were so you're right.
I'll add to that I again, our relationship's pretty new, but I would say what I know about Maze and her child is she loved horses, and not like in a weird way.
Big
She was a
horse girl.
She like
It's
Yeah.
always in a weird way. It's never not in
Yeah.
a weird way.
She had so many. I've seen pictures. So many ribbons.
There's more
is
weird and
weird.
less weird, but it's all
It's odd.
Horses are weird.
And any
Um,
good hobby is weird. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yes.
But Ulysses S. Grant definitely wanted to fuck his horse. That's all I'm saying.
Whoa,
Sorry,
leave Grant out of this as my favorite president. No.
I heard horses, but you said ribbons.
Yeah, I used to ride. So, like, I did the competitions.
Oh,
I rode
fun.
English and Western. And so I did the, like, English which is like the obstacle course where you go and like jump stuff. And then I did Western, which I did like the barrel racing type kind of stuff.
Oh, that's cool. That one looks way more dangerous.
Yes. I've fallen off of many a horse.
All right.
Another person I would have bullied at school.
You bullied everyone at school, Jake. I don't know that that's...
I did.
Some people always got bullied, but they always took it so well. Like, they did not give a fuck.
Yeah, because they knew how to calm a 500-pound wildebeest.
yeah.
That's why. Like, horses are just cars with their own brain. It's terrifying.
I would say I hate horses.
I'll tell you that Jake is still into all of the things he was into as a child, which is dinosaurs and history books.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, those are my. I still very much. I have. There's a dinosaur book I plan on reading at some point this year, next year.
I got you that book for Christmas.
You did. I can't wait to read. I've been wanting for a while.
Have you seen the TV show Danger 5?
I have not. No, I haven't.
Danger 5.
You have to watch it. Then there is an entire episode dedicated to the Nazis trying to bring like mind controlled dinosaurs to use them as weapons. And then
I do love that.
But it's so dumb, but it's fantastic. The whole thing is filmed like it's from the 1960s. It's done by an Australian comedy troupe, and the whole premise is that they're a global like spy syndicate made up of all the allied countries, and their job is to kill Hitler, because in this timeline the World War II essentially didn't end and Hitler's still in the 60s, so they're like James Bond style trying to infiltrate the Nazi party and like kill Hitler.
That is the kind of ridiculous thing I would enjoy watching. I'll say that.
And there's dinosaurs. It's right up your alley.
Yeah. Well, look, dinosaurs are cool. I think everyone has a favorite dinosaur. Like 90% of people have a favorite dinosaur. Mine is Ankylosaurus. Maze, what's yours?
The Triceratops.
No fucking kidding. That's mine. Basic as shit, but I love it.
I love it too.
That's a solid pick. Kim?
I don't think I know enough dinosaurs.
Get out.
To have a favorite.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. I was going to say that.
Pterodactyl.
It's actually a winged lizard.
Well, that's more.
But
we won't get technical. But we'll give you that one.
I'm very upset. So far, none of our nieces or nephews have hit like a really serious dinosaur phase, because I was really hoping one of them would, and how often I hang out with them. That's when I would learn more about dinosaurs, and like they could teach me, like be a little kid spun, and then they would just like recite it all. But it hasn't happened yet.
One of my nephews actually loves dinosaurs, like has books on them and everything. And he's like, I think he's 4 or 5 right now. He loves dinosaurs. And speaking of one of the greatest things ever, Kim, who were some of your role models growing up?
I hate when you do transitions like that, Jake. I really wish you would not.
You mean less of a transition, more throwing a crash test dummy at a wall? Yeah.
He's just doing questions.
I have not mastered the art of transitions yet, but get over it, both of you. I don't.
Who role models? Again, really rough with like memories growing up, so it's really hard to often place myself and like think about what I was feeling or thinking then.
Yeah.
But like you were talking about, like built-in friendships. I also have a lot of cousins and grew up with a lot of them. We were very close, and like my whole family. So I think the first person actually, when you said that came to mind, was one of my older cousins, Carrie. I think she was a role model to me just because I thought she was so fucking cool. She is, how old is Carrie? I'm trying to think. My sister is 5 years older than me. And then Carrie's got to be another couple years older than her.
Yeah.
So let's say close to let's say 8 to 10 years older than I am. And I always just thought she was so cool. She taught me how to snowboard. We would go snowboarding together. Her and her friends would pull like funny pranks on their friends and on like family members. And if it was ever a family member or something that I can be involved in as like a preteen, she would like call us up and be like, I'm going to come pick you up and you can come with us, to go TP someone's house or do something.
No, I love that.
And I just like, always the absolute cool. She played the drums, and then I ended up playing the drums later on in life.
Hell yeah.
And I thought she was just the coolest person to me. So
yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, nobody outside of like family. And I definitely had other cousins or aunts and uncles that I remember like short bursts of like being really, really like into watching what they were doing and copying what they were doing.
Yeah. Okay.
So thankfully had a lot of healthy. And then I guess my sister, to different extents, like I said, we had a roller coaster relationship as lots of siblings. So there were times that I probably told her we hated our guts or we were like physically fighting each other.
Yeah.
But she was still my older sister. So I definitely looked up to her a lot growing up. And then into, teenage and adult years, I definitely still look up to her a lot.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Nick, same question, bud. What about you? I'm sure someone such as yourself has a role model of some sort.
Well, like I said, not until like middle school or so could I say I actually think I started picking up on role models. I think before that, like being younger, it was mostly either mimicry. So it's like you don't understand what a role model is. You're not looking to somebody like this is the person I need to model anything after. It's just mimicry. It's like the things that like not even knowing what a nerd is or being bullied yet, but I was always into the things that seemed more smart than like brawn. Like most like Power Rangers is a great example. Who in the hell picks the Blue Ranger as their favorite Power Ranger? But he was always making gadgets, and I thought they were cool. And I would sit there with Legos, or like not Legos, what were the big fucking honking ones that are like the size of your head? They're Lego shaped,
Like
but they're
Megablocks.
plastic. And I would sit there and like act like I was constructing gadgets when he was making gadgets on the show.
Yeah.
And then like because of that, Leonardo as the Ninja Turtle, I'm also like, that's cool. But when you're little, it was more mimicry. And then I was also always used to be the bigger or one of the older ones in my group. So it was less looking up to someone, more kind of looking around, just being with friends. But then towards middle school and stuff like that, you start to realize like, oh, there's people who you can look up to or get things from. My Scoutmaster was a big one, and not necessarily just because of Scouts, just kind of, he just kind of knew a little bit about a lot of things, and not in like an arrogant way of like, oh, I know everything, but in a way of like genuine curiosity. And that pushed more into, I'm not a smart person. I didn't try to be smart. I don't read a lot of books or anything, but I just let my natural curiosity take over. And those are the kind of people I try to look up to as somebody who like encouraged, hey, this might not be book smarts. It might not get you anywhere other than just an answer to what you care about. But if you're the least bit curious, push towards it, go towards it. So like people like that always kind of, that's why I'm a big fan of Henry Rollins for more of his spoken word and travel pieces than I am his music, even though I do enjoy Black Flag. Just he became curious about travel and the way he would go to other places. He's very Anthony Bourdain-esque.
Okay.
If you've ever listened to any of his spoken word when he travels, it's
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Anybody with enough curiosity that make me go, I want to be like that. I want to be curious enough about anything I'm interested in. It doesn't have to be the things they're interested in. It's just somebody with a curious enough mind.
Okay. That's actually really interesting. I never knew that about you. Maze, go ahead. Do you got any role models yourself? No?
Yeah, I kind of struggle with like the whole concept of role models because I don't know. I just feel like my brain doesn't work that way correctly. But I think the closest thing I can really come up with is like Amy Lee from Evanescence, because for a long time I wanted to be a professional vocalist. So like she was the lady who was doing really cool vocals over like really cool like rock music, and I was like, that's awesome. I want to be just like her. I can't really think of any other ones. Kim, you talking about your cousin kind of made me think like I was also really close to one of my older cousins. I think she was maybe 6 to 10-ish years older than me. I'm not 100% sure, but I always thought she was so cool. And she was like the only person in my family who I felt like I don't know, was weird in the way that I was. And so I related strongly to that. So she would like let me come over to her house and like hang out, and we would, do cool cousin shit, I guess. Read books. She was also really into reading and things like that. So, but yeah, I think that's the best I can do in terms of role models. How about you, Jake?
None. No.
Boo.
There were a few people. No, they were like, it's weird because like there are some people I did look up to when I was young, uh, largely male early on, and like the two I did look up a lot to, both kind of let me down in different kinds of ways. Some even I would go so far as abused my trust in them. And since then, I was very young when I kind of came to that conclusion, and I know it's very edgy to be like, no, I don't have any role models really, and I just kind of haphazardly walked my way through like most of my like later teens and my early 20s as well. And it shows in how I treated people and everything. And then luckily, instead of like finding role models, I started finding like peers and people who were of my same like group, like age and everything, or like even younger and older some. And then I just kind of like, oh, this is how you treat people. And then I started after that, I really started focusing on my own kind of things and interests. So like there are like I will say like my siblings have influenced me in this way or not. I wouldn't say necessarily the role models, but I respect each one of them for the things they've added to my life as well. But no, too cool for role models. Too cool. Too cool. Pew, 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 pew. Fucking stupid. I hate that question, by the way. We were going over these questions. It was the
Why do you ask
well,
it?
because it's a good question. It's a good question because a lot of
You
people.
know this is your podcast. You have full control.
Yeah, but like, it's not about me being comfortable, Nick. Though, like, these are questions like I'm curious about. Well, then, like, when me and Maze are sitting around talking about these questions and everything, they don't necessarily have to be comfortable for me. A lot of these times, I've never really thought about these questions because I don't. Since I like role models, I don't really think of anyone as my role model. So when I saw that, I was like, that's going to be a struggle for me to answer, honestly, because
I think it can be an intimidating question because of the term role model instead of specifically saying that instead of a general. Who did you look up to? Is there anyone you wanted to be like, or you followed around, or you know?
People followed me, Kim. People followed me.
Welcome back to Jaking Friends, where I hate my questions and I hate my guests more.
Kim, you actually spoke about your family and parents earlier. How did your parents impact your view on love and relationships?
It's nothing I think I ever thought about when I was younger. But again, like I said, very fortunate that they were seemingly very happy. Not that they're not, but obviously I don't know. It's not something parents will talk to their children about. And if it was anything negative ever, we rarely, if ever, saw it, which I think is how it should be. You know, it was never anything that affected us. But no, I think they had a very good relationship. I don't know if they still do it right now, but I know in the past decade, they've actually, they're very involved in their church that they still attend. They're involved in a pre-Cana class, which is if someone that wants to get married in a Catholic church has to take this, like, it's like a religious ed, but like talking about religion stuff and your relationship in faith. I truly don't know, but it is. My parents would host like 8 to 12 couples that are soon to be married in their house once every couple weeks and talk about having a healthy relationship, basically, and then tying it in with their faith. I would make fun of them and think that they're too cocky in their relationship. I'm like, who the hell are you? You're teaching other people. I don't think you're a pinnacle of love or anything. But again, not anything I've ever thought about. But I guess because of how long they've been together, they're probably going to get mad at me, but I don't know. One year I didn't text my parents for their anniversary. My dad texted us the next day and said that he was upset that none of us texted them. So I know it's
their anniversary.
Yeah. That's what I said. And I said, I'm so sorry you've never shared with us that was important to you. Now that you have, I will text you.
Apologize. She's got to make it their fault.
Yeah. Yeah, they did that to me.
Immediately on Kim's side.
Nothing is funnier to me, though, than the fact that they host that class in their own home and we don't even know what it's about.
Wait, hang on. Hang on, can I cut in?
Yes.
You didn't go for the shits and giggles of it?
No way.
I have other things to do on a Thursday night.
Yeah. And again,
that's what I have to do on a Thursday night. I'm like, you got to do it once. I'd take Friday off, and Thursday night I would do it.
Yeah.
If you want to go, we'll make sure next time you come visit, we'll get you signed up.
I don't know if they still do it. If they do, we'll sign you up.
I'll do it.
Especially when they were doing it, probably like, 5? Well, we're in the house for this long. When I was living at home still, so...
I don't know. We walked in that one day and there was like 6 couples sitting in the living room and they all looked up at us like almost as if they were like, oh, are you guys late? And we're like, we're not. No, she lives here.
It's also I know of at least one time specifically, and I'm sure it's happened. My parents live in the town where I grew up, in the town where both of them grew up, so that's why they're very involved in everything. A lot of the couples, because it's a very local church, just a town over from that, they did that class for at least 1 or 2 different people that I knew of or knew in high school. So it's not really something I really want to hang out and be around. And I was never wanting to be in my parents' house if I didn't have to.
I left to meet the most small town girl ever. Just like, I grew up there, my parents grew up there, and their parents grew up there. So I was like, let me get you out of here.
we moved.
Yeah, I brought her a whole county over, man. It's a different world out here. There's not sidewalks here.
But yeah, I mean, not that we could afford to live in the town that they're in, but I wouldn't want to for that very reason, because they are so involved and our families for so long. I don't really like that.
But also, we couldn't afford to live in that town.
It's two reasons. It's two reasons. Two-pronged. What about Nick? What about you and your lovely family, who I love and adore?
Well, it's different because of your
Nick.
your parents' situations, huh? How old were you when your parents got divorced?
8 when they divorced. And it's very funny when you mention, like, it's not things my parents would talk about, like their relationship. I'm an idiot. So to be honest, if my parents didn't tell us that they weren't, they weren't getting along, if they didn't tell us about the divorce when I was 8, they could have still went through with everything the way they did. And I would still think, oh, yeah, my parents are married, but I just get 2 Christmases and they live in very different houses.
Would you have thought, like, I was going in the military, we're just living separate?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, yeah, he retired, whatever. But yeah, it's just this is how they maintain it.
Well, how did them divorcing that young, did you think that affected you and how you viewed relationships at all?
Oh, 100%.
How?
Yeah, thank you. Elaborate, Nick.
Probably just wait for the shoe to drop. She's gonna get tired of me eventually.
No, I hope not.
I'm not sure.
Because I'm going to exist the way I exist, and she's gonna be like, "You're out of your fucking mind."
I'm like already here, so to change anything would be way too inconvenient.
Oh, so essentially, I am right that it would fall apart, but you're too mentally ill for that to happen.
A balance.
All right, so that's what happened then.
I just think it's funny that she asked you, how did your parents of divorce affect your view on relationships? And you're like, let me go and tell you how our marriage is going to end.
You don't think that's the answer in and of itself? My answer of how I think our marriage would end is how
that's oh God, no. That's a bad answer, Nick. That's a horrible answer.
I'm sorry, my emotions and how I deal with them is a bad answer for you, Jake.
Not forgiven, Nick.
That's fine.
I'm not happy with it.
Exactly what I expected.
All right, no, but like, do you again? I'll just reiterate Kim's question. Do you think your parents' divorce affected how you view relationships, or how you
I don't know if it did. Or if anything, it taught me to look for things more seriously, in the sense, like, don't just assume things are a given, take things as work, pay attention to how you are and how people are to you. Because I think it made me cynical enough at an early age that it taught me to actually be realistic as I got older and realized not everything does end up like that. Like at an early age, I'm like, okay, this is just what happens. Everyone's parents get divorced. It happens eventually. I mean, your parents were split when we were friends, so I assumed everyone's parents eventually split.
I was just
it made me cynical, young. Like,
it thankfully made it like so. It was like you're like, this is normal. It's not a big deal.
I think I got the cynical part out of the way early enough to realize, like, oh, healthy relationships can exist and continue going. Big things that helped are that, I mean, every summer we would go upstate and be with my dad's family. My grandparents were still very much together. My grandpa passed when I was 15, and my grandma spent every year asking, why won't he also take me? Like, she waited for death. That's how much she loved that man. She didn't leave the house.
I think their relationship was probably a good, like, positive one.
Oh, yeah. No. I knew very early on that it's my parents' fault they couldn't pull that shit together. You know,
that's what I mean. So
other people could do that shit. Why couldn't they?
It was so meh to you. Like, you didn't, I think maybe it was thankful that you were young enough and maybe they didn't share with you. It's not like you.
Plus, I also saw, like, the choices could be made. Like, my mom made choices. My dad made choices. Were they good or were they bad? I don't know. But, like, other people came and went from my life because of that. It's fine. But then, I saw my Uncle Bob and my Aunt Janet. They were together the whole time. So, sure, both the women in this example watch both the men die. You tell me all the time I have to outlive you so you don't have to live without me. I don't know how that's going to happen.
I'm trying to live a really unhealthy lifestyle to match you. And just being a man and dying first.
Okay, that's fine.
Someone died at the exact same time.
What I find funny is every time we learn something about Nick's childhood, he always makes, like, just naturally makes the healthy decision or our thought process. He's like, no, people get divorced. You can still have healthy relationship. At like 5, or 8, he's knocking this out.
I don't know if it's healthy for a child, but I think one thing that helped too is that even before, like, your parents splitting up when you're a kid is probably the one, like, traumatic experience within the house. Like things can happen to families that they like. There could be a car accident and a parent could get lost, or like things happen. Kids experience trauma in numerous ways, but like for a secure household, a kid who's like, oh, I'm growing up a normal existence. I go out and I play with friends. I go to school every day. Your parent splitting is probably the one or the first or earliest piece of trauma you might experience. But even prior to that, it was already always so much a, hey, we take care of you, you take care of your little brother. That's what big brothers do type scenario. That, that I remember when they immediately told us, and Matt's big reaction, my brother's big reaction right off the bat of that, I think I was more taken with, how do I manage him?
Yeah.
So even, I was 8.
He
like
didn't
what
take it
8-year-old thinks like that, but
Yeah.
like my parents told me that, and he immediately, our parents told us, and he immediately started crying so big that I probably should have as well, but instead, like my attention then just kind of locked onto him at that point, and I feel like I think if I remember, one of the first questions I asked were like, "Where are we going to school from?" Like,
yeah,
I was asking them logistics questions in the moment.
Very you.
that is very Nick, actually.
I've had to manage mine and his emotions, and that's not his fault. I think it just came a lot of like, I remember being woken up at 6, 7 years old, my mom being like, I'm going to lock the door behind me. Brady Bunch is on the TV. Something happened on the base. I have to run dinner to your father.
Yeah.
And she would leave. And I'm 7 years old, like, I'm king of the castle. La, la, la. And, but I think deep down, too, and I never had to experience it because it never actually happened. But I think deep down in my brain, I was like, what the fuck do I do if Matt gets up, though? Like, if my brother wakes up right now, walks in the living room, sees me watching TV when we should both very much be in bed, and go, where's mom? And me just go, she left. I don't know. Plus, I had a warped view of divorce anyway, because like my dad was military. There's no way he was going to get custody of us. He would get sent to the Middle East to fight and die for oil in two years. We don't know what's going on, but somehow he got to keep the house. My mom got full custody of us, but then they were also like, "You're homeless, by the way, T."
That was the trade. Actually.
Yeah.
So I was just like, divorce seems pretty 50-50. Like, she gets the family and he gets the place to try and make a new family. Like, that seems pretty cool.
Were they, I feel like you said they weren't, but were they at all like, was it a rough divorce that they were actually arguing? I know you said like both of them had things to say about the others at certain times, but was it messy in the sense that
it didn't seem like it, but I don't think they were around each other enough to fight or argue, because I think a big driver of it
even
was...
in the legality of it, like her taking you guys for the majority of the time and him having the house.
I mean, I never saw a courtroom, so I guess that's nice. I feel like things get messed where kids have to see courtrooms.
That's what I mean. So maybe it like seems like everything, even if they were, pissy and arguing about it, at least like on paper, they're like, yeah, this is how it's happening.
This is the first time anyone's asked Nick this. This is the first time he's ever heard these questions, Kim.
I think my dad's too uninvolved to be pissy, which I think was also part of the thing that helped catalyze the divorce. There's always two faults to everybody. I think my mom wasn't built to be a military wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But my dad also wasn't built to have a spouse. If that makes any sense. Like,
no,
like my mom would be like, "You're never home," and he's like, "You understand what deployment means?" But then my dad would also sign up for extra deployments because they'd be like, "We need people to fill this in." He'd be like, "I was just in Jordan. I'm familiar with the country. Let's go." And my mom would be like, "Wait, you volunteered for this one? Did I not just say you're not home enough?" Like that's how unmessy it was, that like I didn't know those were the argument. Like I didn't even know why I just knew they divorced. I didn't even ask or try to figure it out until I was like, I think I was in high school when I first asked, like, why did you guys divorce, by the way? Other than not being in love, clearly. Like,
hearing you say like your dad be like, I was just in Jordan, I know the area, I'll go ahead and do it. That is such like a Nick answer in my head for some reason. Like if something came up, he'd be like, well, I have expertise in it, I'll go ahead and do it. Don't worry, I got it.
I mean, one thing I'll never say is like, oh yeah, I would have joined the military, but I couldn't. Like, no, I'm not built for that. I couldn't deal with it. But a big reason I wasn't is because I lived through what it's like to have a parent going over there all the time. And I had a parent who was very unbothered to be there all the time. My dad would be stationed somewhere where if you didn't hear from, like, they're supposed to get 1 day a week they can contact you, and sometimes you just wouldn't take that day, and you'd go 2-3 weeks without hearing from somebody. And it's like, okay, either he just got lazy again or he's dead.
Yeah.
And like it could be one of those two things.
A big part of all of that is your dad loved his job so much. He loved being in the military.
But I think what really cemented for me that, like, I'm definitely not made for the military is that. And I mean, I talked to recruiters. I went on base multiple times and spoke to people about certain career paths, because there was a time too when I was in college even that I was like, maybe I just want stability. Like, there's roles for graphic artists in recruitment in the military.
Yeah.
So even close to me, like my final year of college when I was graduating, I was still considering, but I never felt like I actually was made out for it. I don't think I was, but the biggest catalyst for me to be like, oh, don't go into it then, was my dad. My brother still wants to be in some form of the armed services.
Yeah.
And my dad all the time will try to tell him, like, look, I never pushed you kids towards it. He goes, I took it because it was my last resort. He goes, I wasn't made for school. I wasn't made for college. I wanted you guys to have a life outside of it. If your brother really wants it, I will help support him, but I'll never encourage you guys towards it. But there have been times throughout my life when my dad was like, oh, you absolutely have the demeanor for it. As in, like, you can, if it's something you care about, you can just do what you're told without questioning it. You can go weeks or months without contacting people and not have it affect your mental health. He knows it now because I maybe speak to him once a month. Because I don't think we're going to call. My mom lives 15 minutes from us, and she texted me this morning. I forgot to text her back. Actually,
she does text
I forget to call her all the time. But she raised me. She should have had enough of me by now. That's her fault.
That's not how moms work. That's not how mothers work, I think.
But that was the thing that cemented for me that, like, oh, I definitely am not built for the military, because, like, I'm like, I saw that my dad thrived in that environment, and I didn't want to make that worse. I didn't want to be the person who could be okay with not contacting people and not supporting relationships. And I'm still bad about it now. Like, I have tons of friends that sometimes will be like, not tons of friends, that sounded wrong. I have plenty of people in my life who are my friends who reach out and they're like, we haven't seen you in forever, and sorry, I'm just not making time. I'm so bad about making time for people, and I can only imagine how much more that would have been exacerbated if I had ended up in a lifestyle like that.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to be honest. Like, it's not like I want to join the military, but there's no fucking way I would have made it in the military.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm not built for it. Mentally, cool, whatever. Appreciate that, Dad, for you saying that. Maybe I'm a partial sociopath, but, like, I'm not made for it in any other way whatsoever. Because again, even as a kid when my dad's over there, I'm just like, he's dying, so we have $1.50 a gallon gas, right? Like, that's all this is.
Nick had a really good childhood, everyone. Very loving, involved.
I didn't
we fight about it a lot. He says something like, "Oh,
I was
healthy childhood."
I was proud of my dad for doing what he did and saying it and doing it, but I never saw the military as some holier than thou or infallible organization. Even now, and I mean, his role on base was akin to that of just being a cop, and we'll make jokes about a cop or whatever. And what was it? Connie's kid the one time said, "You're like, your father-in-law is a cop," and we were like, "So fucking what?"
Actually, he said "used to be," and I said, "Good thing it's what you said used to be."
Yeah. Again, love my father, love my mother, but like, no, don't need to follow in any of those footsteps. A long story long, that's how I feel about my family. I love them the way you're supposed to love them.
Yeah.
Well, the question was about your parents' relationship, but again,
how it affected me.
As much as that affected you, I think the balance was how many really good, really healthy relationships you also had in your life and other family members, whether you realized that at the time or not, that you really did see as healthy. And I think it even helped our relationship. I think you have a lot of other healthy relationships around, like your grandparents and their story.
See, this is what marriage is, and I appreciate it. I don't even have to be here.
She's more succinct, Nick.
You say things about me so much better than I say them about myself.
All right.
I appreciate that.
Gotcha.
He's speaking it like it's an insult. I mean it.
No, I know you mean it.
I'm just hamming it up for the conversation.
I've seen it, and I've thought about, like, just in general, not like parents aside, other relationships of people older than us that, even if we didn't realize we were looking up to, it is a good example. It's a healthy example. Funny enough, we talk about that you have a few different aunts and uncles that were also didn't have children and didn't want children.
Yeah.
Maybe they
And we
had it
said how
figured out.
funny that those are some of the family members that we get along the most with, or maybe sometimes it's only just and tolerate the most. Realize like they really are good role models or like a relationship example.
You know why those are the family members you can get along with?
You know,
Because they never had to change your shit diapers. That's why.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All of my nephews, I'm gonna be able to look in the eye and be like, "How you doing?" Shake their hand as men. Why? Because I've never had their shit up my elbow. That's why.
Oh, okay. I know
That's a weird way to judge
know.
it, Nick. But all right, that's whatever you got to do to get make a relationship.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't change diapers. I just can't. I don't know how. I'm not ashamed to say I don't know how to do that.
That's pretty
And
straightforward.
be like, Nick, you're 30-something years old. What do you mean you don't know how to take care of a kid? I don't have to take care of a kid.
Yeah, you just chose not to. You would have been able to learn in the
Yeah,
multitude
you'd have
of
picked up.
Yeah.
I'm good.
but yeah. Anyway,
Nick's like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to learn.
learn.
I do want to pose that question to Maze, but I also just want to make this statement. It's so funny because growing up with Nick, I always thought Nick had this very like sheltered childhood. Like when we'd go and hang out and everything when I was at your home with your mom, it always felt very sheltered, very like PG when I was there. Like we couldn't watch certain movies, we couldn't say certain language and everything. It was very. I felt like we're all
Because my
smiles.
mom
and
was
I do
like
love
that.
your mom.
Yeah.
I love your mom. She's fed me more than once.
The problem was that I wanted to expand horizons and grow and do things. I mean, I know you've heard the story a million times because we've grown up together and you knew about it when it happened. But I mean, my mom was so afraid of me getting a license, I had to trick her into getting to my DMV appointment.
But it worked.
Like it was within the week of my birthday, and I just told her, I'm like, I wanted to go out for lunch, just the two of us for my birthday. And I told her it was, and once we got, the DMV and is past anything where you can go to eat. I told her like, oh, I'll drive though, and I've got my learners on me. And we're driving down. She's, where are we going? I'm like, we're going to the DMV. I booked my appointment. Also, you're gonna need to sit in the waiting room. I'm gonna need the Suburban for a minute.
Similarly, my parents, not to not give me a license, but the lack of giving me any of their time, would not take the time to bring me to my driving test. So I had to make the appointment and ask another family member, ask one of my aunts that I knew would have time, and she took me.
Yeah.
I got lucky being the older sibling in the sense that like my mom didn't know to fear the things until I did them.
Yeah.
And then she would put up the shelters around it. And it's a reason not to call him out or anything like that. But I think it's a reason why my brother doesn't do or didn't learn to do certain things, because I think at a young age, he saw my mom fear me doing them.
Oh, you
Meanwhile,
falling off a bike, freaking out. And
I was made a
your
rubber
brother.
band as a kid. I used to throw myself off of everything and just get back up. But then my mom would like scream and grab my brother and run for the house.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it wasn't even that bad. You only see one bone.
I'm barely bleeding.
Yeah.
Well, that's very her vibe. She is very overly nurturing sometimes. She is the textbook mom in that sense that she...
What it took is that it's very good to have a parent who cares about you and cares about your well-being, but then you also have to have the personality. Then that's the balance that you need to know when to push outside those boundaries, because otherwise you're not going to get anything done. You're going to be coddled into non-existence, and I can't live like that.
Yeah.
But the flip side too is that you could have a parent who's too nonchalant, like my father, who wouldn't give a shit about anything I was doing. Oh, you want to just walk around?
They balance
in the middle
Nick out. They balance Nick out.
At 13, go hang out with Jake. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And then I would be at your house, and we'd be at the Huddle House talking to truckers at 13 years old at midnight, and somehow we didn't get kidnapped and driven halfway to Louisiana.
I love that I'm Nick's bad influence in his life.
Yeah.
Nick, come on, let's do horrible things.
Not your bad influence. Both of us had dads who just didn't care where we were at 3 a.m. on a Saturday.
You do speak the truth of Chuck. He was like, you know what? Live your best life, Jake. I'm 5. You'll be fine. Get out there. I have a horrible memory, so when Nick tells me things, I'm like, oh no, I had a really horrible childhood at times. Oh no. I had such a cool childhood.
It's worse when you're like, that does sound right.
Moving on.
What about you, Jake? What about your...
My Jake's like, I didn't want to go next.
I was gonna go. No, how both of you kind of spoke that they hid that part of the relationship if there were struggles. Mine were not that way. Mine were loud. We lived in a trailer, if that gives you an idea where I'm painting this picture, maybe. And it was like if we were arguing in the bedroom or the kitchen or the hallway or in the same room with us, often in the same room with us, we heard that. And then even like, because they were technically divorced before I was even one. I think it was very young when the divorce proceeding started or whatever. And so like they were still on and off though, growing up very young. And it was often loud fighting. I've heard some horror stories from both sides, and even when they have split, it's been a very constant. Like they hate each other. They both like to say, "Look, I don't hate whoever, but I just don't like them." All right, well, that means well, you hate them. It's fine. And then they'll go on like this, they'll just start spewing this vitriol about the other one and just going on how horrible they are and everything. And it will go on. I love both my parents. I love all my parents, my steps as well, my stepfather as well. And but hearing them two talk about each other, it is it can be rough. It can be rough. So that definitely affected how I view relationships. Most of the relationships I knew as from adults were not good, toxic, even, abusive, and a few of them. And even the ones that stayed together, they seemed very hollow to me, which I didn't pick up on that until I got a little older. But for me, that's why I probably struggled with relationships so much, and how a lot of reasons why I was shitty in my very early ones. Just, like this is how they are. You fight and you get over it, or you fuck and you move on, or you drink and you get over it. Therapy's helped me a lot. So that's kind of how to keep it short, I didn't have like I didn't have that nice kind of like where they kept it separate, and it did affect me negatively in how I dealt with not even just like relationships with partners, but relationships with other people as well. Like even as I grew, my step parent, like my father, my stepmother, there, I grew up in that household for a long time. And it was a very critical atmosphere. Like all my siblings, we all like to joke because we're all like, we all say we can like, talk the talk. We talk shit. And we do that a lot. It's how we formed our relationships. We're very like critical in a way that's loving, and a lot of people see that, and they can be a lot for people. Maze has noticed a little bit. It can be a lot if you're not used to that. It's very constant. Even like even when we're being kind, it's always kind of behind this wall of being critical or jokey or poking or criticizing. And we're all getting better at it. We're all better than our parents, but we're also more creative than our parents. All of us, most of us tried therapy or talk about it. And our parents have gotten better. I don't want to just disparage my parents. They've both also gotten better. Well, at least one's gotten better about being open about her relationship and how she feels. The other one, he's trying. Well, he's trying. He's trying. He's trying.
Is he trying?
He's trying. That's all I got to say on it right now. He's trying. He occasionally will call and talk, and he's trying to figure out how to talk to me. I don't know how he's doing. I don't know how he's doing with my siblings. Probably better. But I was very lucky to have like strong relationships with my siblings, even though we all fought and had our moments. They've all matured. I have really close relationships with my siblings. My most surprising one I'm really enjoying is the growing relationship I have with my youngest sister, Lindsay. We've become really close over the last year or two, and we share music. She actually called yesterday, and we spoke for over an hour on my lunch break, and we talked about she had shared an album, I was sharing an album, we were just going over that, and it was nice. It's nice to have that, I think. So my relationships have matured, but it's between not so much from my parents or like other adults growing up, but from the people around me again. Maze, what about you? Did you have the best parents ever like Nick and Kim?
No. Unfortunately, no. We were kind of talking about these questions earlier, Jake and I, just kind of getting ready for this recording. And I was like, yeah, my parents are like a cautionary tale. They're like, when I was a kid, I was like, okay, whatever I do, not that. Yeah, my parents were like very loud about how much they didn't like each other. They were constantly screaming at each other. They didn't sleep in the same bedroom. Like they were just not nice to one another for the majority of my childhood. So it was like, okay, well, at least I know that I never want a man to yell at me like that. Let's try and make that a goal. That'll be our goal. No men yelling at me. Thank you.
That's a good goal. That's a good goal.
But yeah, I didn't really have any like good romantic relationships to kind of model after. Pretty much everybody I knew that I think were adults in my life, I was like, yeah, I don't know what you guys are doing. So I was just kind of figuring that shit out on my own, which is probably why it's taken me this long to figure it out. But yeah, they definitely, they gave me some trauma. trying to figure out how to navigate my relationships in high school while they were still together, because my parents didn't get divorced until I was in college. So for the majority of my life, they were together, unhappily. But yeah, so mostly as a cautionary tale with me trying to figure out like how to basically do the opposite of whatever they were doing. And unfortunately, I ended up in some relationships that were pretty similar to what they were in. And, that kind of happens, unfortunately, no matter how hard you try and do the opposite. But I've worked through a lot of that in therapy now, and am much more aware of doing things purposefully so that I don't end up in that place again. But yeah.
Yeah. Therapy. We're big proponents of therapy here.
Big proponents of therapy.
Speaking of terrible families, Kim, how close are you with each other's families?
Probably closer with mine than his.
Well, mine's dwindling all the time. So
his family is much smaller than mine in every aspect. And obviously his immediate family who is here is only his mom and his brother. And then he has his aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
I have my parents, 2 siblings. Each of my siblings are married, and each of them have kids. One has 2 kids, one has 3 kids.
So many kids.
So even just those immediate, when we just see them, a lot bigger. And then I have a lot more extended family.
37 cousins.
I don't know how many, actually.
I am constantly amazed when I come up there and Kim starts telling me her family. I'm like,
I have
I don't even know.
A lot of cousins.
So many.
Yeah.
Because her family is Irish and Italian, 2 Catholics famous for not knowing when to stop fucking.
Yeah, so my dad's side, my dad is only one of 3, but we have a lot of extended family, like beyond just him and his siblings. And then my mom is one of 8.
Ugh.
And then the generation, like my generation of the kids there are, I have 7, there are 17 of us biologically, and then a couple others by marriage, and now all of that generation.
And a few from lab.
Yeah, probably. And now all of that generation is having children.
Yeah.
And I believe 20-something that are between the ages of 5 months and
10.
Yeah. Other than like one by marriage that's a teenager. I think the oldest one's probably like 9 or 10. And there's like 20-something of them. So we have a really, really big family. And because of that, and because of how many kids there are in that new generation, my family does a lot more.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that we're interested in going to, not to hate it.
I would say each time I've been around your family, I hate to admit how much I enjoy like the few times I fuck around your family. They're always so.
I said it about something else before, but it's a numbers game. There's so many of them. Some of them got to be cool.
Yeah, you're gonna find.
It sucks because now as an adult, I realize some are fucking awful too.
Yeah.
But that happens with everyone when you become an adult, you know.
Yeah. No,
but yeah, definitely my family. We love both families. We hang out with my family and do a lot more with my family. A lot of that is who we get along with the most. Not that we don't get along with his family, but we have less in common. And Nick didn't grow up as closely with his family here.
Well, there's more people in your family that are in or around our age that we can get along with. So like, I don't have a large family by comparison anyway.
Yeah.
My dad is just him and his brother. His brother is an ice cream man. Whose claim to fame is that he doesn't have his own children. So I don't know if he likes kids or he doesn't like kids. Like he's like, hey, I want to come through your neighborhood, play a fun jingle, sell you some ice cream, make you have a good summer. Or also, don't look at my car. I'm going to spray you with a garden hose.
Yeah.
So like it's a fine balance. My dad obviously had kids because I'm yelling at both of you. So that's just my brother and I. My brother is 4 years apart, and 4 years is enough to like not have. We could have a lot in common. Sometimes we don't have a lot in common. We don't have a lot to bring us together often. My mom is one of 4, and out of her 3 brothers, only one of them also had kids. So all of my cousins belong to.
Even then, Kenny, right?
No, Kenny. The woman he was with had a kid from a prior marriage, but like that.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. I don't know.
So yeah, you only have one.
So I had 2 cousins that were a year and 2 years older than me, but when their mom left my uncle, they vanished. So I hadn't seen. I went from the age of 4 till not seeing them again till I was like 17.
Yeah.
And then that same uncle had 2 other kids with my other aunt, but they're my brother's age or younger. So if I already don't find, when you're a kid, 4 years is a bigger gap than now. Like now, as an adult, 4, even 10 years like that, you can find common ground because you're all adults and sad. But when you're kids, like you have the future to look forward to, and you're like, you're 30 minutes younger than me. That's too young. You're a baby. And then you're moving on to other things.
So 4 years. You barely saw your family. So
well, that's the other thing too. Not only is 4 years enough of a gap that my brother and I didn't have enough in common, but then my other cousins were either that age or younger, and I only saw them once a year. So there wasn't, it wasn't even the fact that, like we get along with everybody. Same thing with my aunts and uncles, but I was already growing up in that mindset of, again, I mean, Maisy, being an Air Force kid, you grow up away from your family. You're used to seeing them so few and far between. My grandma would call, and my mom would be like, "You want to speak to grandma?" I was like, "I talked to her last week. It's fine." And that was fine for me. And then when I moved here, everybody's like, "You don't come around." I'm like, "I used to only see you once a year. You see me like 3 times every 6 months now. That's an average. That's pretty good. This is, we're up like 300% here."
Yeah.
And my math is good. Don't fact check that. But that was fine for me. It wasn't like I don't like my family. I was just already used to not seeing them. And then when I met Kim, and it's like, oh, there's family events on both sides. It really became a pick or choose thing. And I will say this: she's been pretty open to me being the one being like, I want to do this one or I want to do that one. I chose a lot of the things with her family more often because I was like, there's a lot more of your cousins that are our age that we get along with. And I mean, not for nothing, you're one of like 70 females on that side. So all of them find men, and there's got to be at least 2 or 3 of them that are cool. So then like I also have,
how many cousins I have, the majority of them are married.
Yeah.
So that significant others that are also there.
There's so many good men that have just been pulled into this family. My God.
Just wasted them.
Women in your feminine wiles.
We have a support group for one another.
Oh, God.
But yeah, again, it kind of just boils down to not only the relationship or lack thereof that he had growing up and not seeing his family, but then even just as adults, my family's doing
the numbers
more
game.
things that we want to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Not that we don't, but like his cousins are doing like just the basic, sometimes a birthday party or like big holidays. My family, they're not seeing each other on Easter, so they always do at my one cousin's house. Funny enough, my cousin Carrie, who I still think is the fucking coolest, she hosts, and we do a big Easter egg hunt in her backyard with all the little kids. So we'll like go to that because it's fun. So we get to hang out and like have a drink and eat with everyone for the day, and the kids get to do something fun.
Funny enough, and this is one thing that I will say, I think this is the key to a healthy relationship. I don't go to that Easter egg hunt
Not
usually
that one,
because it's like that's based around the kids, and we don't have kids, and I don't want to sit there and watch other people's kids look for Easter eggs that you can plainly see from 30 yards out with the pastel colors.
They're really young now. We'll get to the point where I'll hide them in the future, but like, now it's just collecting them.
I'm not dismissing it. It's like, and I know it sounds bad. It's like you like to be involved with the kids. You like to be involved with the kids, so you go and you have a good time. I would just be standing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So I just stay home and I have a great time. And then she comes and she tells me about the great time she had. So
let's say that's a bad example of us doing more than family. Go back and say, at her house also, we have a family picnic we do every summer that we always go to. And it's super fun that everybody, like potluck food, desserts, we celebrate all the birthdays around that time.
Yeah, I haven't had my own birthday in 14 years because of this family.
We used to do it at my cousin hosts it. We do a big water balloon fight, and Nick and I always bring the water balloons and bring like 1,000 for the kids.
No, it's a good time. I love going, but I also got lucky. First one I ever went to, they do a family softball game, and apparently there's an uncle of hers that takes it way too seriously. He's very like competitive and everything like that. And his first hit just knocks up a big pop fly. And I catch it and put him out, and everybody in the people on his team were cheering for me.
Yeah.
It was I did it.
Best first impression Nick could have made on my family. I love that. Like the extended, like everyone played that, and everybody was like, "You got him out." That was great. They still talk about it.
I love that.
14 years.
Yeah.
I think I fell in love with your family before I fell in love with you, because we walked into that picnic, and within 5 minutes she's like, "Just say hi to people. If anybody asks, just say like, you're here with Kim." So one of her aunts, who now I know who it is, but I didn't know who it was at the time. And I walked up, and
that happened at.
No, it was that first family picnic. And I walk up, and she's like, "Hi." And I'm like, "Hi." And she goes, "How have you been?" I'm like, "I'm good." And she's asking like, how are you and Amanda?" And I'm like, "No."
Amanda is my older sister.
And she also has a thing for tubby white men with beards and tattoos. There's like four. There's only 4 types of us guys, and your family. Well, you and your sister keep choosing the same kind. But but she was like, "How are you, man?" I'm like, "No, I'm dating Kim," and she goes, "You're with Kim now?" And she 110% thought Derek, because also Derek and Amanda had only been dating for like 2-3 years at that point, so Derek was still fresh face of the
also
family.
new to the family.
Yeah. And I was like, God, and the big joke we talk about now is I wish I'd known your family more, or just kind of known how they were more, because I would have been like, yeah, I'm working my way down the line. My goal is max.
Oh my God.
But yeah, 110% thought I
like
was.
things like that. Like, that's fun. Your family wouldn't even do something like that. And if they did, it would be a very different vibe that I don't know if we would say yes to. We did just RSVP yes to
Yeah, she doesn't like my family.
someone's retirement party we're going to. But it was
someone's, you know who it is.
Well, they don't know who it is. I'm just saying, like, we went with somebody in your family.
Yeah.
We RSVP'd yes to a retirement party. That also had to do with we're not seeing them for Easter, even though they invited us, because we're seeing my family. And
but again,
the retirement party is in our town at a restaurant that we know. That's on Main Street. So like, we might as well go.
Well, there's 2 things. One,
it's a reason to get to go to the restaurant.
To a retiree, because I know I'm never going to get to see retirement, so I want to know what it looks like. You know,
retired?
Yeah, none of us are going to see retirement. They're going to keep pushing the goalposts back, and plus we're already projected to be the first generation to not live as long as our parents did.
I'm okay with that.
Like, I think our average lifespan is already 3 years younger than the average lifespan of our parents.
I need to get that lower.
But
I need to get that higher.
Put those things together, we're not going to see retirement. Let me go live vicariously through this woman, but also, again, prefer Easter with your family, because why? Your cousins are there. I literally share a birthday with one of your cousins. They're our age. We get along with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's, again, relationships that we've kept from childhood. Like, the couple that we hang out with, like, specifically Easter, the cousin that he shares a birthday with is who I was closest with on that side of the family all through childhood. And we had a lot of the same interests. And then into our teenage years, went to concerts and stuff together. So, of course, if any member of that family is then doing something, if we're available, we go, yeah, we want to hang out with them.
And again, this isn't to knock anyone. My family, I didn't grow up bonding with them. And then once I moved here, just different interests. They for one thing, again, they were also very young. When I moved here, my cousins that I had here were all still in high school. So, like, I couldn't do anything with them. I'm trying to go out and drink, meet friends, and go play in shitty bars.
But even beyond that, once they were out of high school and then they were over 21, it was also not wanting to hang out with them, because they were only about, let's go out and just get shit-faced drunk. And
as they
were
the right
into, like, being social nightlife. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're, like, really social in that sense of, like, having, like, every family party that his family throws, if it's like a barbecue, his cousins have friends that are there. Like, that's the kind of vibe that they always were. And that's not very nice.
Meanwhile, for your protection, Jake, I tried to never get you into barbecue around my family.
Look, I'll say this.
Mostly because my mom just likes you more than she likes.
Yeah, well, that's what I was about to say. One thing I look forward to every time I go up there is seeing your mom and hang, because I love your mom. Your mom's great. But what I'm gathering from you two, outside of Nick's mom, it's Kim's family's cool and fuck Nick's family. Just to sum it up, just a nice little package there.
Well, you know what it is, though, too? It also doesn't help that, like, I've grown up with family that was already like that. Like, one of my uncles and aunts, another one that didn't have kids,
Nick, it's okay. Your family sucks. It's okay. They suck.
No, it's the same thing. I've always seen it of, like, hey, you can choose. You don't have to be at every family function. And they were like that. So I was like, oh, as I grew up, I'm like, that's okay, too. Like, they have lived on the island their entire lives. They're 5 minutes from all their siblings, and yet they would only go to half the family functions. Or if they did come, they'd leave in the middle of it before it was even close to being done. And I realized, like, oh, you don't have to just make yourself unnecessarily available. If you only want to go for short snippets or, like, smaller digestible increments to family functions, you can do that.
Maze, edit all of that out and just cut it off where I said, fuck, Nick's family sucks. Or just put that there and cut out his explanation. Do not give him any saving on it. Cut that out. Thank you.
My mom will still want to cook for you when you get here and completely forget she has a younger son.
Well, again, your brother loves me. I almost feel bad for your younger brother when I'm there. I almost feel like he should be here just to defend himself. He'd do so poorly. But last time Jake was here, my mom cooked for him, cooked for me. She has me, Kim, Jake over. My brother lives in that apartment with her. She cooks for us. And at some point, she throws her arm around Jake and I. She goes, I'm just so happy to have my boys here. And my brother's just sitting across from her. Like, she doesn't even fucking exist. This poor kid's looking at her like, She was like, and Matt,
I feel like he was looking at her like, I'm glad I made you get a C-section, lady. That's just rude shit. Like,
I love your brother, but he likes Alex Jones for actually liking Alex Jones. That's a conversation I've had with Matt the last time.
So again, hand in hand with, as you become an adult, you also realize sometimes family members aren't really great people or don't really have good opinions and morals. So some of that ties into where we RSVP yes and no.
Yeah.
We change as we go. We change as we grow. Some of us change as we grow. Some become our parents.
I think I'm doing the nice thing. I'm being the bigger person. I'm RSVPing no instead of saying yes and then going to start some shit.
Shit, actually.
You know?
And again, you have the easy out of the fact that, like, I also have more fun hanging out with your family.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of the
it'd be a lot different if you were like, we need to go see my family.
Yeah. If I had more, like, that's why I think the bigger holidays are actually easier. Like, we do Christmas Day with my family because it's an easier one to do. It's a bigger holiday. You know, you'll get a little bit of everybody. You'll get to see them. You know, it's stuff like that. Like, but like the smaller holidays where it's not big of a deal, it's easy. It's easier to do your family because it's one, we don't even care about the holiday that we're probably going to.
Yeah.
Like, if your family did an Arbor Day thing and my family did an Arbor Day thing, I'd pick your family for Arbor Day. Because I don't give a fuck them trees. But, like, I like your cousins. They're fun.
Yeah.
You can do so many cool things in trees. Maze, what about you? What do you feel about you? How close you're with my family? You know, what's going on with that?
Yeah.
I was
for
trying to
us,
listen to Nick.
Well, for us, it's really just like me and my mom on my side of the family. So like, and my mom's obsessed with Jake. So
super easy. Her mom is a delight. I have 3 favorite moms now, and Nick's, mine, and Maisie's.
She does love the absolute fuck out of him. She's just like from the first time she met him, she's like, "Oh my God, I just love him. He's so sweet." Like, I'm glad
so
you like
Jake.
I made her a playlist. I made her a playlist.
He did. He made her a playlist.
I think what you do that charms moms is they meet you and they're like, "Oh my gosh, a man that actually will admit he needs my help."
Yeah.
I will.
We're all grown now. Our parents are just waiting to, like, take care of someone again. They miss that, and then you walk in, you're like, "I haven't cooked a meal for myself in 5 years." And my mom's like, "Oh my gosh, you're beaten, baby boy. Come here."
Yeah.
Will you teach me to cook? No, but I will feed you to your heart's content.
Yeah. People just see me. He needs a helping hand. Look at him. No, and I would say kind of likewise. My family actually often when we talk about Maze is like it's more of like she seems too kind for you. That is the most critical thing I get from them. Or even on this, or like, do you pay her anything for all the things she does for you? I'm like, she's my partner. You don't pay them usually. So that's how mine's going with my family. My family is obsessed. It's weird. My family do seem to really enjoy her.
Yeah, I do really love his family. Like, I love his sisters. I love his mom. Chuck's okay.
She's not sold on my dad. She actually, when we left, she goes, "I could see why people find him charming." That was like the first thing she said to her. I was like, "That's fair. That's fair."
I mean, as you've already pointed out, you've grown a lot as you've gotten older. You've gotten wiser. You've learned the importance of relationships to a point where you've gotten softer.
Yes.
And
you call me soft?
I mean that by, like, you used to only form bonds by, like, oh, we're all experiencing the same trauma and we're gonna all rip on each other the same way, so we'll be friends. And
violence.
You've gotten yes, also violence. But that's what I mean. You've gotten softer, and the reason I say that is because I wouldn't necessarily say you've gotten nicer, because you still find a lot of joy in other people's misery.
Oh yeah, he loves to be a menace.
That makes me sound horrible, Nick.
Oh, I know. I'm hot calling kettle, game recognized game. But I'm just saying, like, that it still shows you've grown emotionally because you have gotten softer. Your edges are not as hard.
I still love being, like, as May said, I like being a menace. I love, oh God, if I can fuck up someone's day, it brings me so much joy. But not like I don't want them hurt.
We literally spend time talking about the ways in which he will menace people once he can quit his job.
I have so many plans. My friends are going to hate me. Oh, I have so much patience for these things. And that's one of my main reasons I just want to quit my corporate job is just to sit around, read books, and come up with ways to make my life's friends harder. And I think there's no bigger test of like showing what a good friendship is spending time outside of that friendship to learn how you can fuck with it and test it in different ways.
Oh, the ability to menace people are one of the biggest ways that I can say we were clearly friends and that we learned things from each other. As a matter of fact, you'd be very proud of my long con menace that I'm aiming towards. I'm waiting for a town council meeting in the summer to bring an actual written list of complaints and grievances about the way they handled the last two winter storms and the way they plowed the streets. I want their guard to be completely down when I attack them with this. I want them to be like, oh, you're talking about summer? We have problems from January, bitch. Like, I am prepared. Also, the fact I'm on the town council page on Facebook, and every achievement they've been posting, I've been tying it back to how they haven't taken care of things properly on the streets from the platform. St. Patty's Day parade. I'm like, thank God Mother Nature finally took care of the streets you guys didn't plow, huh? Real nice parade route.
I love that when you're being a menace, it's like, I've made a list and I have a lodged official complaint, and God help me when spring comes. Yours is such like this. You're very bureaucratic with yours. You're like, I'm going to really take them to task on this.
Oh, I could probably go to one now, but we're still close enough to winter. Their guard would be up. Like, I want to hit them in summer when they're in beach mode and be like, hey, what are we doing about the plows?
It still is a big difference because I want to just set something on fire.
Yes.
You know, that's a big difference.
Yes, Kim.
Which might have, you're going to a town
council meeting. You have a plan to. I'm going to commit arson.
Nick's going to wear a suit and
I want to
everything.
put them in the face when they have to wipe down with the microphone.
On the 5th of May.
Yeah, I'd get kicked
the
out.
Ides of March.
That gives me so much joy just then. I love that. No, Nick, please let me know how that goes. Let me know how that goes. I fucking love it.
Well, also just, again, it evolves from our pure enjoyment of menacing people. You remember those ridiculous trivia games that our history teacher used to want to do?
Yes.
And it would be whatever team scored whatever point, that's how much you get added to your test. But she wouldn't put us on the team together because we were the only two people who cared that much about it. So she'd put us on opposite teams so that way our team together wouldn't get all the answers.
Yeah.
So what we would do, because it would make the question invalid and nobody would get points, Jake and I would answer the other team's questions to render the entire game invalid, to the point where the teacher would get frustrated and go, well, everybody else will get the bonus points then and you guys won't. And we'd still walk out of there with 100.
Well, they always failed to realize.
Again, that just reflects on both of you that you guys being menaces was like, or being a menace was like, we need more points on a test.
I would have kept my mouth shut. It was the minute she was like, well, you two can't be on the same team because you both just kind of know the material. And I'm like, bullshit. We want to be on the team together.
Yeah, it was unfair. Like, because other people got to be on teams with their friends. We should have been. My thing is, like, they failed to realize that me and Nick are both lovers of history.
I remember the time we slid our desk to the center of the room away from our teammates, and we just sat in the middle of the room together instead and just answered every question.
I miss being menace like as a team like that with you, but I do think it really helped build our friendship even more. We both could just be shitty in like a really fun way though. Like we weren't hurting anyone. I mean, we ruined other people's times, but I was okay with that. Anyways, I don't know what to say to that because I don't know how to deal with my emotions all the way. We're gonna edit that part out. Maze, edit that part out. I will say this. I'll give this last question for this first kind of double date night we got going on here. What is your current support system like, and who's in it? Who's part of it?
A very strong underwired brassiere.
No wire ever.
I have some incredible men.
No wire.
They need all the support they can get.
Yeah, no wire, Nick.
What year is it? Wire. Ugh.
I don't find
support system.
I get my underwear in a bag, Kim. All right. I don't know anything about it.
Well, we don't spend as much time with our families. We are very fortunate that we have very supportive families that would be there at a call, you know.
We do?
I think mine more than yours, but maybe that's again a numbers game that I have. You know, your brother isn't as self-sufficient as my siblings are.
My mom wants to be supportive. It's just like, we couldn't call her for anything. She would just be like, I'll be there. And it's like, why are you holding a baked good? And she's like, I don't know how to use a hammer.
Yeah. I mean, it's, again, relationship, and it also depends on like what we mean support system. Because when it comes to something like physical, my family would have more of the resources and just depending on what we needed. You know what I mean?
My dad's the definition of thoughts and prayers. You'll just be like, hey, Dad, we're running.
Well, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Like, resources.
Your dad doesn't live in New York.
Your dad isn't in the state. Your mom is here, but lives with other family members. My parents are still at my childhood home. So we have the resources of that. And again, having my
But
siblings.
we're just talking about support system in general. Like it could be emotional or mental, but also to clarify that we're going back even before I moved here. My dad is the definition of thoughts, prayers, God.
Yes, that too. But even on the emotion,
What about friends though? Like, what about people outside of your family, like actual friends?
Friends are my biggest support system. As a matter of fact,
yeah.
my biggest thing, I actually just had this conversation with a pal 2-3 days ago. But my thing is that because I don't know if part of it's myself, the fact that I guess I give off the look or vibe of a guy who might know a little bit of something, and I really don't. I run into a lot of situations where I need help or I don't understand what's going on. And I feel like a lot of times when I do have asked for help, I'm usually met with a similar answer. And I think it's because I've been as self-sufficient as I have been throughout a lot of times in my life, or just figured it out, that, I'll ask for help and I'll get a lot of like, well, yeah, you just do that, or you just kind of know what's going on. I'm like, no, but I need help. And they're like, no, you got it. And that I was talking to a friend recently. I'm like, I don't think you understand why I'm so thankful that and it was not even about a serious situation, but I told him, I was like, every time I've asked you for help, you've actually provided help. You didn't just look at me as like you're the guy that can figure it out. You're handy with this, so you'll be handy with that, or what. You've shown up, you've done the work with me, and you've helped me get past the point that I didn't understand. And I was like, that was a big deal for me, because I absolutely have a support system, but I think friends have been the biggest one, because I think family is the biggest part. Watched me be self-sufficient. Again, a lot of milestones I hit growing up were out of sheer force of will and by disobeying my parents in a lot of situations. So I think my parents and a lot of family, either through witnessing it or hearing the story secondhand, are used to like, oh, Nick is just stubborn. He will figure it out. He's got it. So if he's asking for help, he just hasn't figured it.
Okay.
yeah.
And so my friends are my bigger support system, because sometimes my friends are the only ones that take me serious when I go, I need help.
We've also been very fortunate, and I think it very much reflects on us and who we are as people that are friends. I know I've seen posts and I joke about it that I'll do anything for my friends but respond to their text. I'm terrible about communicating or making the time, but you ask for something, I'm dropping everything. I'll do it right then and there and do too much, because that's how we are. So we've been fortunate enough to get that back from some of the same people. And we have, Jake knows Michelle and Kelly, and Michelle's been friends with me since we were children, since we were in diapers. And our relationship and our friendship, which I'm sure we will delve into on another episode when you talk to Michelle.
Look, she won't say yes. She won't say yes. I would love to talk to Kelly, but I always feel like I'm bothering.
They have a child. They're busy, Jake. Okay, they're being parents. They're responsible.
She's a mom. Yeah.
I know. Don't make me feel shitty about it.
It's tough. I can talk her into it.
They don't get to hang up from this call and watch Power Rangers and eat goldfish crackers like we're going to do. Okay.
I can talk her into it, but Michelle will tell you, like, a lot of our friendship, it dropped off sometimes, but just because of lack of proximity when we went to different schools and had different things in our lives, but always came back to each other like family members would. And because of that, her then had a very healthy relationship and now marriage. They went hand in hand that we were there for both of them, and they are a big support system for us as we are for them. We said it now that they do have a baby, that we are a big part of their village. We helped them to renovate the baby's part of their apartment, and we cooked meals for them in their first couple weeks home and things like that.
That's nice. I love that.
Same vein of friendship, and some of the people I think that like helped us move in. Were you talking about Shebs when you just said that, or Billy? When you were talking about who you had a conversation with?
Porque no los dos.
I figured it was kind of both of them. So I was going to say Shebs is someone who he helped us move, and another, like, we would drop anything for him, and I think he would do the same for us.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yeah. And then he said Billy, which Billy is newer in our lives, but that's Erica's now husband. That the same thing. Erica's been a big part of my life and such a solid for me for majority of our lives, and then was the connection for Nick and I to meet, and has been just as great of a friend. Her choosing someone to marry, we obviously assumed, and we were right in it.
Erica
being the
did
same,
introduce us, and we still haven't forgiven her for that.
the same vibe that I think Billy is just as self, and the same thing, would drop anything to help. So I think that we're very, very fortunate that we've built a good small village, but a village nonetheless.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Maze, what about you?
I've got 3 really, really good best friends. One, Crystal, that I've known since 3rd or 4th grade. We used to like spend all of our time together. She's the only person I could ever, when I was a little child, do back-to-back sleepovers with. Like, she's the only person who I could stand for that long period of time before I needed to recharge.
Like, Mom, pick me up.
Yeah. So she and I have kind of like gone in and out of each other's lives over the years, but we've always come back together, and very fortunate to have her in my life. She lives in the same like town that my mom does, which is like where I grew up. So I always go see her when I'm back in town, and she does things for Mom and things like that too, which is awesome. And then I have Riley, who she's been a long distance friend for almost all of our friendship. We became friends in like 7th grade, but she only did 7th through 9th grade where we lived, and then she moved because her family was military. So she's been all over the place. She lives in Ohio now. So we're not close, but you know, we talk all the time. She and I have our own Discord server where we just talk to each other and send each other memes and stuff like that. We're super, super close. Unfortunately, like our friendship kind of dropped off a little bit while I was married, but after I got divorced, like we really, really picked up, and she was like the biggest person who kind of helped me process everything as I was going through that. So like I was talking to her every day, multiple times every day. And so she's like a soulmate, but like not romantic, if that makes sense. Like a platonic soulmate. She is just, I love her so much.
Like a Jake.
Yeah.
I know what that feels like. I'm giving you a compliment, you big dummy.
Yeah,
Cute.
I'm great.
I also have my friend Erin, who is a newer sort of best friend, but she and her husband Nick, another Nick,
God help her,
moved to the same town that my mom lives in, which is where I was living previously. So we got to spend a lot of time together. And then as I was going through my divorce, I was babysitting for her, and her child is my godchild. So we're really, really close. And yeah, I pretty much talk to her at least multiple times a week now at this point. So, and then I have my mom as well, who's also a really good aspect of my support system. She and I have always been really close, like even when I was a little kid. So I love having her around, and she loves Jake. And so we have a good time hanging out together. But yeah, I think that's me. How about you, dear?
I have a really great support system. I really worked on building my friendships, and I've had a lot of friends who are really patient. Nick and Kim, I speak very highly of you two constantly, of your patience with me.
Can confirm.
People like you. I mean, Jordan as well. Jordan's someone I can count on. Honestly, I have a slew of friends. Now that I've started doing this, I've learned how many people are actually like, if you ever need me, you can just like text me, right? I'm like, I didn't even think about it, honestly. Sorry. So I don't want to just, Jav Colt. I mean, honestly, I learned recently just how much of a center point Colt was for me making other friendships, like our mutual friend Possum and everything. So many friends I made. Jeff, I made through Colt. So I do have that, and I'm lucky to have like my mom is incredibly supportive of me. She kind of made peace with me being her weird child long ago, and was like, "Whatever you need to do, honey, be happy. Kids aren't for you. Just get a cat and a partner, you'll be fine." Actually, it was mainly the cat, but if you find someone, you'll be fine. My dad's working on it. He's trying to figure out how to be supportive. He won't support this podcast, but he's working on other things to support me. I'm lucky. I really fallen. Maze has become a phenomenal support system in just a short time for me as well. I don't know. I find myself, I don't want to chalk it up to luck because it all took work, and time, and just kind of learning how not to be, terrible all the time. So I have a wide range of support that I can call upon. I struggle doing it. My biggest problem is actually doing it when I'm struggling. I just like, I'll just suffer through it. It'll be fine. I'm bleeding, but it'll heal. It'll be fine. It's good. So that's
Well,
kind
yeah,
of how I view
look,
it.
if you have an injury, call an ambulance. Like to To clarify, none of us are doctors.
I know way too many nurses. I'm not calling an ambulance. You know how expensive it is? I'm going to drive myself there.
Either way, I'm just saying, like, yes, we want to be there for you, but like, get the help you need in that situation.
You know, I'm gonna let you guys know how I'm gonna end the night. Me and Maze, when we get off this phone. There's a movie I want to see. It's got Sam Rockwell in it and everything. It's a recent movie from Gore. I can't remember the director's name. Called what is the name of it now? Now that I'm blanking.
Good luck, have fun, don't die.
Don't die.
Yeah.
That's the one where the guy's his own brother. Yeah.
That's what? Shut up, Nick. That's. I just want to let you know what we're doing tonight. We're gonna have a little movie date night tonight. Do you guys have anything you're gonna do tonight to end the night, or are you guys just gonna piss off?
We're gonna piss off in our own rooms. No,
Yeah,
we'll probably do the same.
We do need to figure out dinner. That's the only thing.
We have dinner figured out. So
I already got two good to go boxes of pizza. We just have to leave in a little while to go get them.
Fist bump, man.
Yeah.
Pizza.
Thank you for joining us on Making Friends Double Date Edition. Join us again in 2 weeks for round 2. In the meantime, subscribe to our Patreon, rate and review, follow us on Instagram and Facebook. See you then.